To order. Thank you for, we've had a busy morning. Thank you for your long suffering and patience. It is a pleasure to call this regular meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen for the City of Natchez to order. At this time, I would invite you to please stand. And we have with us Reverend Wilson Johnson, St. Peter Baptist Church, to provide our prayer. Reverend Johnson, we welcome you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
And following the prayer, we will repeat together our pledge.
Let us pray. Oh, holy and divine God, as we come at this hour, at this appointed place, at this appointed time, oh God, we ask that you would just allow us your divine favor in this meeting this morning, dear God, with our mayor and our board of aldermen. We ask that you continue to bless this great city of Natchez, dear God. We ask that you give them the foresight, dear God, and the hindsight, dear God, to see what's needed to be done for the great city of Natchez, dear God. We ask that you bless all our municipalities, dear God. Bless our water board, dear God. We ask that you would bless our supervisor, dear God. Bless our sheriff, dear God. Bless our fire chief, dear God. Bless our police chief, dear God. We ask that you would bless all in the leadership roles. And Lord God, we're thanking you right now for what you're doing here in this great city of Natchez, dear God. We're thanking you for what you're going to do. We ask that you just come and help them to come to the meeting of mind, dear God, that they would know how to run this city in the way that you want it to be run. And we just ask your blessing upon this meeting right now and your favor in this place right now. And we ask it in your son, Jesus' name. Let us all say amen.
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 Reverend Johnson, thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Let us now repeat together our pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. We'll ask the clerk to administer the roll call.
Alderwoman Hall.
Here.
Alderman Frazier.
Here.
Alderwoman Smith. Here. Alderwoman Irving.
Here.
Alderman Davis.
Here.
Alderman Dillard.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, all present and accounted.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll now move to approval of minutes. Madam Clerk.
Okay, the first set of minutes that we have on the agenda for approval is the special call meeting on March 11th, 2022.
What is the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Second.
Move to approve. Motion made by Alderwoman Hall and seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion on the motion.
There were some corrections.
Yes, Alderwoman Irving, you're
Yes.
recognized.
There's some corrections on the minutes that need to be corrected. I will give you this copy and make the
Okay.
corrections so
Okay,
that.
we did have a few corrections that were made to this 22nd, but if you've got some for the 11th, please let us know.
I have on the 11th.
Are they grammatical or are they substantive corrections?
They need to be added to, they do. It's information that needs to be added to the minutes.
Okay, if it's anything that is of substance, we need to know what it is before the vote.
Okay, introducing the members who were invited to our, in my report.
Okay.
An introduction of those members that were invited to the Neighborhood Watch meeting, their names, and I also mentioned that, it should be on the video. For instance, Mr. Rick Verino, he's the crisis therapist who's invited to Neighborhood Watch. That's not there. I thank Ms. Debbie Hudson for her years of service, 15 years of service to the Chamber of Commerce with the
Okay.
City of Natchez. It was in my report that it was not. Also, on the following page, there's some other errors. Paid taxes on small claims report. I think $3,500 was not mentioned there. On the following page over, on the minutes from March 11, 2022.
Mhm.
And I have.
Okay, thank you, Alderwoman. Any, and if you'll just please provide those to the clerk, and we'll let the approval be subject to that.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
Call for the question.
Okay, the question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Madam Clerk.
The next set of minutes would be the regular board meeting held on March 22nd, 2022. And we'll go ahead and point out that the city attorney did provide us with a couple of changes. It was a misspelled name and yeah, it was more grammatical
Okay.
than anything on those. So nothing.
What is the pleasure of the board?
I had something.
I'm sorry, I need
So
a motion.
moved, so moved.
A motion to approve made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderwoman Irving. Alderwoman Irving, you're recognized.
Okay, and with my report again, it said also spoke with Greg Hopper, and it's not Greg Hopper. On to DC, it was actually Senator Roger Wicker and Senator Sidney Hyde Smith, and in reference to, and I have that information written out for correction as well.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other discussion? We'll call for the question.
Call.
Question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Madam Clerk.
The next and final set of minutes for approval would be the special call meeting on Thursday, March 31st, 2022.
What is the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
A motion to approve by Alderwoman Irving, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion?
All question.
The question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
We will move to the next item. Other city business. We have Superintendent Tony Moon on the agenda, representing Natchez Waterworks, presenting a utility ordinance amendment. Good morning, Mr. Moon. You are recognized. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Mayor Board,
morning.
and thank you for your time today. Some of this we've, in the utility committee, kind of gone over this. I've got kind of a summary slideshow for you today to go to hit the highlights. Okay, next slide. Okay, first off, on page 2, this is just a chart that shows from 2008 to 2021, the audited operating revenue and operating expenses. You can see how in around 2014, we started having a drop in our revenues, and then, of course, our operating expenses started going up. A lot of this has been contributed to some of our bigger customers have just, conserving more, the prison's population's down, that sort of thing. Okay, moving to next slide. All right, and then kind of what we have planned for the future, part of our capital improvements plan that we've been working on. And some of these, priority 1 and priority 2, are kind of already in the works through some SRF funding that we're hoping to come through MDEQ. And we're working on that now. And one of the things that we have to fill out in our facilities plan is what's our current rate structure. And when looking at it now compared to previous years and previous projects, it doesn't look that great. And we know that we can get this rate increase passed and we can update our facilities plan. We feel like it will help in our funding endeavors to get some of these projects done through that program. And then obviously there's other programs coming up through the state that we hope to be in line to get funding for as well. Okay, next slide. Okay, on page 4, this is just some statistics on our customer base and the different consumption ranges. For example, 0 to 300 cubic feet. These are our minimum bill customers. And there's 2,000 Well, at the time of running this report, it was 2,671. And you can see customers using 300 to 1,000 cubic feet. There's 3,245. And just those two, total 5,916. And then you can see the more consumption, the less customers fall in those groups. Over the table to the right at the top, you can see just the different meter sizes. 3/4 meters, you got a little over 6,600. Then the larger meters, the fewer customers we have on those. The last ordinance that was voted on for a rate increase in 2007, that increased the base rate for customers 0 to 300 cubic feet. Those customers that are using 300 cubic feet or less, which earlier we just said 2,671, that's 38% of our entire customer base have not had a rate increase in 15 years. All the other customers using above the 300 cubic feet hadn't seen a rate increase in 11 years. Okay, next slide. Okay, on page 5, we had presented different options, and through some different meetings, we narrowed it down to option 3. Option 3 is will have the least impact on all the customers of Natchez Waterworks. You can see the table at the top left. This shows the different meter sizes. There's a minimum bill for 0 to 300 cubic feet for each meter size. And you can see for the majority of the customers, it'll go from $10 to $12. Now that's for, water only. And if you have sewer also, then that would be, currently $20. And then it would go up $4 to $24 a month. And this is also to help a lot of our lower income families, or maybe elderly on fixed income, don't necessarily have a family living in the home, using a lot of water. So this will, impact them the least. You can see the table at the bottom shows that this is a tiered structure. We don't have this right now, but what we're proposing is a tiered structure. The reason we did this, it'll show on the next slide, but right now, so from 300 to 10,000 cubic feet. Of course, year 1, 0 change in consumption over the 300 cubic feet. Year 2, these first 3 groups will go up to $2.58. Year 3, the first 2 groups will go up to $2.71. Then year 4, 5, and 6, the top group, 300 to 10,000 cubic feet, would go up to $3.14. Keeping in mind, year 6 is all the way out to 2027. So the idea of transitioning the rate and not have it all at once just gives people, time to possibly budget and plan for the changes that are coming. Obviously, also now too, we're seeing a spike in our inflation, local inflation. So, people are having to pay more for gas and groceries and this sort of thing. So this will give time too for that to settle down, before they, feel the full effect of the rate increase. So, the name of the game when we looked at this, and we didn't spend hours and we didn't spend days, we spent weeks, we spent months going through this because we wanted it to be fair, to all the customers. Because we understand that, everybody's in different situations. Okay, on page 6, next slide. Okay, you're already there. So this is a rate study done by Allen and Hoschel in 2020. And I can tell you, I've already contacted some of these utilities such as Richland and Clinton, and they're already higher than what this shows. Actually, Richland and Clinton, they have a rate structure where their rates increase every year for forever until somebody were to stop it. But anyway, this survey just kind of shows where you can see the red line there. That red part of the graph shows where Natchez Waterworks is presently. This is current rate. Now, this is based on a customer using 668 cubic feet of water. This is just based on the survey. Natchez Waterworks, our average customer uses a little less than that, probably around 630, 635 cubic feet. But that current bill, a customer using water and sewer, 668 cubic feet, right now, Waterworks would pay $38.13. And you can see that red vertical line, how it compares to the other utilities of comparable size to us throughout the state. And then you look up Natchez Waterworks 2027 option 2 and 3, the customer would pay $47.14. That's all the way out into 2027. And then if you look at that green vertical line, and then you can compare it to Adams County Water, we'll still be less than they are today. And the same with West Point, Laurel, Pascagoula, Olive Branch, Clinton, Macomb, Vicksburg. We would still be less than all of those all the way out into 2027. Okay, next slide. Yeah. Okay. All right. So this kind of helps paint the picture of the tiered rate structure and why we did it. It also shows that in the orange you can see these are the different customer groups, and this is the percentage of their contribution to our rate-based revenues right now. The green is the percentage of this same group, their contribution to our rate-based revenues if option 3 is approved. And you can see there's not a lot of difference in the contribution all throughout these different groups. But you'll notice in the big green arrows, 1.2% of our customers, that's that 10,000 cubic feet or greater, 1.2% of our customers, that's only 84 customers. They contribute over 1/3 of the rate-based revenues for all of Waterworks. These are our businesses. It's the hospital, the prison, World Energy, a lot of our hotels, restaurants. And so this is why the tier structure is there, is to help balance what they're contributing so that they're contributing basically the same percentage as what they're contributing now. This is what we felt was a fair thing, and to help also promote future economic development and help support our local businesses. Okay, next slide. All right, so this is just some, and I didn't put them all in here. There's tons of them. I mean, you see it on the news every day. So-and-so's raising rates. So-and-so's got a boil water notice. So these are just some examples. And these are, this first one is Macomb. You can see effective, and this was back in October of 2021. Their new minimum bill is $86.88. Next slide. Okay, City of Hattiesburg. What's interesting in a lot of these newspaper articles, some of these cities were forced to raise their rates to do infrastructure improvements because EPA come in and found problems with the system that weren't being maintained properly. That's an example of this one we're looking at now. And so they had to go in there and do a rate increase. And this was due to a consent decree. And they had to come up with a 16-year improvement plan and got into a lawsuit with EPA and all that unfortunate situation. So not a situation we want to be in ever. And then moving to page 10, water and sewer rates going up in Jackson. That's obviously nothing new. I mean, I've got other ones. I didn't bring them, but I mean, have them in the slideshow, but there's several others, like I said. All right, next slide. Yeah. Okay. So every year, we're graded by the Mississippi Department of Health, to see what kind of job we're doing. And for the past probably 3 or 4 years, we've gotten a 4.7 out of 5. We have not gotten a perfect score. And a lot of it has been due to what they've been seeing, with our rates. If you haven't raised rates in 5 years and your expenses are exceeding your revenues, you're gonna get a 4.7 out of 5. You're not gonna get a perfect score. And so you can see their comments in this most recent report, which is just recently in February of this year. It says the system has not raised rates within the past 5 years. The previous year's audits show expenditures exceeding revenues. In order to ensure that the system remains financially stable, the rates should be reviewed in depth. For this reason, credit was not allowed for question F1 on the capacity assessment form. And I think, did I have another one? Oh, okay. And so the other one is some additional amendments that we would like to see to the utilities ordinance, or to authorize the Board of Water Commissioners to be able to approve and adjust consumer deposits, tap fees for water and sewer, late fees, past due accounts, and then reconnection fees. But to do so to meet the cost of doing business. In other words, it's not a moneymaker thing, but if it's costing us more to put in a 3/4 inch meter than what we're charging, then we're going in the hole, and this would authorize the Board of Water Commissioners to be able to adjust those as necessary, rather than come to the Board of Aldermen, every time for those. And I think that was the last one. So if any of you have questions or.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, Alderman Frazier, you're recognized.
I just have one question. Under this new proposal, what is the monthly bill for the average homeowner gonna be?
Let's see, that was on. Now, if you go back to slide 6, yeah, page 6. Okay, this is an example. And again, this wouldn't be immediate. This would be over a period of time. This would be in 2027, what it would be. The first year is going to go up $4. And for customers, like I said, we got over 2,600 that use less than 300 cubic feet. Well, it won't go up anymore after that. They're done. Theirs won't go up anymore. So, but we have some 3/4 inch meters out there that use quite a bit of water. So when you average them all together, it's about 630 cubic feet. So this chart shows about, what that would be. So it would go up about $9. Okay.
I think I asked this question once before. We are gonna inform the public by newspaper and other means.
Well, the ordinance had to be also published in the paper. So we'll be doing that. In addition to we're going to do some flyers. We can send out in their bill.
Let me ask this question. It might sound kind of frivolous, but the low income development housing project, do they have a set bill or what?
No, this rate is for everybody.
Okay.
I mean, and
You know, like the elderly, you know, in a lot of these apartment complexes, we have a lot of elderly people.
right. And they're going to use that minimum. So like I said, all that was factored in when we came up with this because we wanted to try, because like I said, we understand we have our various customers. Not everybody's in the same situation. Some people are struggling, out there every day to make ends meet. And I know especially now, with the inflation in groceries and gas and that sort of thing. So we're hoping too, those that have a family, that have 3 or 4 kids at home that use more water, this will be transitioned in over a 5-year period of time. So it's not like a light switch, it's not going to hit them all at once.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you. Yes, Alderwoman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I want to commend y'all for doing a great job
Thank
with making it fair and equitable to both residences and businesses as well. I feel like we're just presenting this to the public. So my thoughts is just so if we have any more to talk about and the public wants to reach out to their elected official for questions, we just take it under advisement, plan to vote on it for the next meeting. That would be my motion to take it under advisement.
Okay, you've made that motion. A motion has been made to take this under advisement by Alderwoman Smith.
Second.
It is seconded by Alderman Dillard. Discussion on the motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderwoman Hall.
I would just like to thank Mr. Moon and the Waterworks Department for your efforts in doing this. And as you alluded, the rates have not been increased 15 years for some customers and 11 for others. And in order to maintain our standards, we do need to increase this, and it is minimal as to what you already discussed. I think there's been an in-depth discussion on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Frazier.
Mr. Moon, let me give everybody a little accolades. I want to thank you and the Water Board Commission for doing an excellent job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Question?
The question has been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Alderman Dillard.
can we continue the discussion that we're having? That was a motion that we would essentially not take a vote today to defer to the next.
Right, right. I think really in interest of the public being informed, we certainly can invite, further discussion. Alderman Dillard. I will say though, according to our rules, once a motion has been voted, we're supposed to move on to the next item. So we'll limit this just to the next, few minutes.
You think we should have a public hearing then?
And that could always be an option, certainly.
Well, he presented a lot of information, and it seems to, everything I can see, well documented, but I just happened to flip over to the capital improvements plan, and of course, if you go to the bottom of the scoreboard down there, it's like $16 million. That's and if I'm understanding, these increases for option number 3 would be $1,017,000. Is that the annual, or is that the total for the period that you're proposing?
That'll be annual. Eventually. Yeah. Now, you bring up a good point, because this rate increase doesn't do it all by itself.
It can't.
It's counting on Waterworks to continue to make good decisions, and I have no doubt that'll happen. But it's also about what this board's doing and what the Board of Supervisors is doing and how the local economy is turning around in our community. Also talking with Chandler Russ, there's some really positive industrial prospects that would have an impact on future revenues for Waterworks.
So
Also, the prison population. We hope that I mean, I don't want everybody to go to prison, but if they're in prison, I'd like them to be in that prison. And and as that population comes up out there, that could happen. The oil prices, going up, gas prices going up. It's unfortunate, but it for some reason, I mean, we don't get tax off the gas, but for some reason it has an impact on our local economy. So, this, you got a lot of good stuff going on, and
Well,
we're piggybacking.
Yeah. If I look at again, on this capital improvements list, your priority 1, of course, over time, that these increases will contribute to that, but that's $4.4 million right there. So you've got a lot of increases in expenditures. Now, that was going to be my next question. Is when you show the graph of the increase in expenses, decreases in revenues, how much of those increases in expenses are contributed to either these infrastructural loans that we're having to take out?
Yeah, some of it is. I mean, there's 150,000 a year that's set up to pay those out of savings. Those actually don't come out of our regular budget.
So those numbers I'm looking at are operating expenditures and operating revenues.
Correct. Yeah.
And not what you just described as the long-term loans for, major capital improvement.
Right. So,
Okay.
yeah, so as we spend money on capital items, they don't get expensed out. We can depreciate, items as we, our infrastructure, but we can't, as we improve the system, kind of like a business going out buying a truck, you could depreciate the truck, but you can't, write off your monthly note, that you're
Thank you,
paying.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, thank you. In the interest of our rules, we have already voted on this motion and we're going to have to move on. But I am very glad that the board has taken this under advisement because it does allow more time for the board to consider this and also for the public to consider this. But I do want to say, Mr. Moon, you've been working and your staff for some months on this. You've had quite a number of meetings with us, I believe all of us. And I think you've gone above and beyond to show the situation. We appreciate that work. We appreciate the fine job you do. We certainly want to be proactive and not reactive. And we want to make sure that at the end of the day, we do whatever we have to do to deliver good water and safe water to all of our citizens. So thank you. I would request for just the sake of transparency, the proposal that you provided, it's on our, it's available, I'm sure. But if you could make copies of that available to the media,
Sure.
I think that would be very helpful. And then that would allow them to ask any questions that they would like to ask and be better informed.
Right.
Yes.
We upload it to our website.
And I think that's a great idea. Let's also upload this presentation to our website. There's a lot of good information. How many pages is it?
I think it's 12.
12 pages?
Yeah.
I think that's some good information. We need to get it out there.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Alderwoman Irving?
could we include the Bluff City Post as well?
Oh, certainly, certainly. We'll make sure that they are provided a copy of this. We always communicate with them on everything we do. All right. Thank
All right.
you.
Well, thank y'all so much.
Okay.
And while I'm up here, do y'all have any other waterworks matters? I know you may see there's some concrete patching that we still have got to do. We've got some, we're getting some quotes now on having it done. And then some asphalt patching. We've been trying to work on that and getting our high profile, high traffic areas done first. And we rely on contractors to do that, but it's all, in the works. So,
And that's what I've shared.
Thank you.
Thank you.
all right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank y'all.
And Mr. Moon, I invite you to be my guest on my next Facebook Live or perhaps next week on the radio.
Okay. Yeah.
And we can discuss this a little more on my Facebook Live show, and that might help as well
Sure.
to get
And
information.
if y'all have any questions, I generally don't go to bed till about midnight, so I'm available.
Thank you.
All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Moon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Alderman, for your indulgence with us. We did bend the rules a little bit. We're going to get right back now on our agenda. We have no unfinished business. We have no county business. We will move to department directors' reports. Mr. Johnston, you're recognized. Community Development.
I provided you with
Good
my
morning.
information in your packets last week. Nothing has changed. And this is a unique request, noting that we don't own the property, but that the state does, but it is, could be seen as a speculative investment. Simmons Steam Cleaners, which is 121 and 123 St. Catherine, with monies from our EPA Brownsville Coalition Assessment Grant. This property, located in proximity to the Dr. Martin Luther King Triangle Target area, is an abandoned dry cleaners that has been remitted to the state of Mississippi over non-payment of taxes. The property, a blight to the St. Catherine Fruit area, could be a potential investment property, repurposed, demolished, or built new, but investors may be deterred due to the real or perceived risk of contamination because of its past use. With funds from the city's EPA Brownfields Coalition Assessment Grant, PPM consultants could perform a Phase 1 environmental site assessment, interior and exterior, to determine if potential environmental conditions exist. Staff, in conjunction with PPM consultants, is requesting a motion to authorize a Phase 1 environmental site assessment of this property at a cost not to exceed $6,500.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
Motion is made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderwoman Irving. Discussion on the,
Mr. Mayor.
yes, Alderman Frazier.
James,
Sir,
I'm looking at this. Could, give me a little, this address.
121 and 123, it's the steam cleaners on the right. What is it next? I've got a photograph, I think, if you'd like to see a photograph. Hold on. Hold on.
While we're looking for the photograph, I'll encourage other
Oh, okay. I
discussion.
know where it is, James. Oh, I know. Let me, right quick. I think I know.
Other discussion?
Call for the question.
Okay. The question, let's just,
Yeah.
okay, make sure.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right, the question has been called. We will move to a vote. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Mr. Johnson, do
And
you have anything else?
To finish up under that item, because the listed site has been remitted to the state of Mississippi over non-payment of taxes, staff in conjunction with PPM is requesting a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the site access agreement and to forward to the Secretary of State's office for approval and execution.
Pleasure of the board.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Irving, seconded by,
What was the first motion? You just did a motion.
well, he's saying that there is a second motion needed to allow me to sign an agreement.
Oh, okay.
It has to be signed. Alderwoman Smith has seconded the motion. Any discussion on the motion? Call for the question.
Oh.
I'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Cole, you are recognized, Recreation Department. While you're coming up, I want to congratulate you on 2 back-to-back successful events. We had an Easter egg hunt for children above the ages of 6 a week ago, Saturday on the Bluff. It was a tremendous success. I've never seen so many kids having a good time. And then we also had another event on this past Saturday at Osceola Park. And your staff is working so hard and things are looking so good. And the smiles on the children's faces just say it all.
Yeah, I want to also acknowledge police and fire who partnered with us to work that event. They worked all of our activities. Chief Arrington, he was over the beanbag toss as well as some of the guys. One of the guys, as soon as he went over to the limbo, it was like he had a line all the whole time. He was like, I can't get free. But I want to thank them. They really came out and did a great job for us.
A really great thing. Thank you. And beautiful weather for it. Ms. Cole, you're recognized for your report.
Okay. I wanted to kind of touch back on our last meeting. We had some discussions regarding hiring a consultant for the baseball renovations. And we had a meeting with the Recreation Committee as well as consulted with the city attorney regarding that contract. And I'll let him kind of hash out what his review of.
Mr. Callaway, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Cole presented this contract to me, which I believe this board reviewed last meeting. The only 2 changes that I see were venue, which the contract originally had in Louisiana jurisdiction, and indemnity. And I prepared a standard addendum, which is a Mississippi public addendum that's attached to most of our contracts, which states that we are a government entity and we're bound by Mississippi law, and then amends the contract to make jurisdiction and venue in Mississippi and within Adams County, either state or federal courts. And it also removes indemnification language from the contract. Other than that, this is an hourly contract for the baseball consultant, with the top amount recoverable by the contractor being $12,000.
Thank you. We will entertain a
So
motion.
moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall,
Second.
seconded by Alderwoman Smith. We will now have discussion.
Yes,
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderman Dillard had his hand up.
Yes, Mr. Attorney, just looking at this contract before us, would not the effective date be corrected to this date if it was to be voted on and approved this date?
That'll be the
4/12.
date it'll be signed by us, and in the agenda that I prepared, it has the effective date being April 12th, 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Alderman Frazier?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. What's the total amount of this contract again?
Maximum amount of $12,000.
12,000? Okay.
And just,
It's not to exceed over 12,000?
yes,
That's
sir.
what this is.
Okay.
Yes, sir, under item 3. And this also is part of our recreation renewal program, and it will be funded along with all of the improvements of the baseball fields that the city owns at Duncan Park. It will be funded by our $2 million recreational bond. And just to educate the public, we said this the last time, we by law can only make these improvements to ball fields that are owned by the city, and the only ball fields in the city that are owned by the city are those ball fields at Duncan Park. I know there's been confusion in the past that the city owns other ball fields, and we have had to research that and verify the facts, and that's what they are. Further discussion?
Call the question.
Second.
The question has been called. We will now proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you. Ms. Cole, next item.
I would like approval to accept a grant from Pitch In for baseball and softball. This organization works with MLB, USA Baseball, and Little League and USA Softball, and certain clubs to help kids in under-resourced communities to get equipment. I provided how much the apparel and equipment that they're granting us is, I think, $2,700, a little over $2,700 worth of equipment. The only thing is we would have to reimburse the expense for them shipping, which is $130.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
A motion has been made by Alderwoman Smith to accept the bid, the grant. It has been seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion? We'll call for the question.
Called.
Second.
Question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Ms. Cole, thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Cole.
you. I might have one more thing. I just wanted
sure.
to give an update on the restroom at Concord Park. We have started renovations. We have put the roof on with architect shingles, which will enable longevity of that roof, as well as remove concrete from the surrounding areas. And once we re-pour that concrete, it's going to ensure that there is no runoff going back towards the building. We've ordered a lot of the amenities. They are steadily coming in, so it will be completed very soon. Mr. Scott is really working hard on that restroom, and then we'll be able to move on to the next. So we should have our restrooms completed probably before the end of the summer.
That's great
Wow,
news.
thank you.
I have a
Thank
question.
you.
Mr.
Yes, Alderwoman Irving?
That is great news. I just wanted to ask with the walls, we have the plywood up there with plastic, the plastic being placed over it so that it can be wiped down, because those walls are, I'm not gonna use the word sufficient enough, but as a second layer of the plastic, whereas if you're in there and water gets somewhere, you can wipe them off down. If feces, for whatever reason, something happens, you have something that you can wipe down. And that's also that extra layer of protection for males and females, separating those bathrooms as well. So that's why I was asking.
I don't remember, he did tell me as well as you that it was not gonna be,
No, he just said they weren't complete. So that's why I was asking, will the walls go up as what
I
you and I
believe
were
you
there.
asked about if it
The
was gonna be
plastic, I did. And he
drywall.
said he would.
And he said it would not be drywall, but he
The
said,
sheetrock,
he
yes.
did give another,
Mhm, the plastic.
yeah, that it would be.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other discussion, questions?
Can I add one more thing?
Yes, Ms. Cole?
For the contractors, if anyone has any questions or anything regarding the construction that's going on at any of the parks or sites, I just encourage you guys to come to me. Myself as well as Mr. Rudder, we have been at all of the sites. We have been working closely in constant communication with any and everything that goes on at all of the parks. So if you have any questions, I just suggest that you come to me.
Yes, thank you. Those questions should always go through. This is just common sense. Whenever contractors are working for the city, it really is best that those communications between the contractors and the city take place through our department directors, because they are obviously more involved and more familiar with these projects than anyone. And if you have questions, just please go through Ms. Cole, and also Mr. Rudder is always available to answer questions and to help us with regard to our buildings and projects that are ongoing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
I would like to say, Mrs. Cole made that comment, and that's a very good comment. However, when community members, you may want to mention that they need to call, because I was called over to the park by several community members and other contractors that were coming through that had an interest of what would be the best options and, to keep the structure sustainable and safe for years to come. And so they did share their opinion, but you have community members, it's open, they walk over and they look in there to see what improvements have been made.
Mhm.
And so that's something
Right.
we need to share with the public as well.
But obviously contractors are on the time, they're on the clock,
Mhm.
and they aren't here to provide that community back and forth. That's what our department directors are for. And
Thank
we
you,
don't
Mr.
want to incur any additional costs because their time went over. We have to be respectful of contractors and the fact that time is money. But our department director and Mr. Rudder are available all the time to speak to you or to members of the public. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
I respect, what she said, but, if I go to the Natchez Youth Center and I see something, if I can't talk to the contractor, that's a problem
Yes, sir.
about something. So I feel if I go, they doing some work at the youth center and I want to ask a question about something, I'm going to ask them, especially when you have more than one contractor. Mr. Isaac, and I said, I like what you said, but we can ask Mr. Rutherford, who had expertise too.
Yes.
But if he's not there and I want to ask a question, I feel it's my right to ask a question about what is going on.
Of course.
And I say this again, I say this to the public, I'm not a contractor, but I can ask questions.
Of course. I understand. Thank you. Chief Arrington, you are recognized.
Good morning, everybody.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
So today, quick little update. Last time I was here, well, I was kind of here. The mayor told y'all about this grain bin training that we were having. This is a training that we've been trying to put on for 2 years, and because of COVID and other things, we kind of got pushed back. We were finally able to get this training done. So as you can see on the slides, we had a good time. We learned a lot. It's called a grain bin training, but in the process of the class, we figured out it's a lot of other things we can use this for. Big thing I want to say about our department, so proud of the guys. I'm sure you all know we had an incident on the river a couple weeks ago. Speaking to other instructors and firemen around the state, what we did was very impressive. We were able to save someone that under normal circumstances would not have been saved. So proud of my guys and the work that they did out there. Thanks to the police department, sheriff department, everybody that came out to help that day. It was a team effort to get that done. But the training we did was very insightful. Had Chief Daughtry out. He came to hang with us a little bit. He learned some stuff as well. But this was a really useful training for the department. We had a total of about, I think it was 26 people. I stopped looking at the roster at some point, with people from as far as Claiborne County that came to join the training with us. As I said, we learned a lot. We figured out some things that we need, some adjustments that we need to make as a department, some new equipment and tools that we could use and utilize in other situations as well. So it was very, very helpful, very insightful. Want to give a thanks to Farm Bureau for providing us funds and access to this class, and a huge, huge thanks to the Gamberry family that provided us a venue to put this on. That you guys are looking at is huge. There is no other place in Natchez that we could put that inside where we could have that training. And when we went to reach out to the Gamberry family, they were thrilled to step up and allow us to do that. So huge thanks to them. Y'all can see the warehouse. That place is huge. That prop is huge. So it was a huge success. We plan to do this again sometime soon, and we'll be letting y'all know what's going on.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Any
Chief.
questions y'all have? Okay, thank you.
Chief Arrington, I just say we continue to be amazed at the job you're doing and also the recruits that you're bringing in. We were honored just a week ago Friday to meet several new recruits, and I believe it can be said that you're about to get your employee count up to the highest level in many years.
Yes, sir. We are right now. We have 3 new recruits in training. They're going through what we call candidate week right now. So they are out there. Y'all see them on the bluff. They out there learning and running and working. We have another one that we will hope to be hiring in the next couple of weeks. Also, my fire marshal's not here. Just hired him a couple of weeks ago. He's completed his inspector training. So he will be going back for his investigation in the next coming months. So we are moving right along.
Thank you so much.
Thank
We're
you.
very proud. We're very grateful. Thank you. Our next report is Chief Joseph Daughtry. Chief Daughtry, you're recognized.
Good morning, Mayor. Good morning.
Good
board.
morning.
Got a couple of real quick presentations I want to get and bring to your attention and present to you. As you know, we got our four-legged wonder, Tune, is back. And I wanted to bring before the board and let you know that Tune, along with his handler, has completed the United States K9 Unlimited training. Is now certified in 4 different types of narcotic detection, and also he's also certified in building searches and apprehension. And in the training, he had the fastest building search where he recovered the person in the building. And I wanted to present Officer Brian Cipher and Tune with their certificate of completing that course.
Wow, we are so grateful. Oh, thank you, Officer Cipher. Thank you for your work with Tune, and Tune and I have known each other now a couple years, and I can see he's maturing, and the training has been really well received by Tune. We're grateful to have our K9 officer serving the citizens of Natchez.
I think we met the mayor on Main Street over the Franklin one night.
It was several occasions. And Tune has been very vocal on various occasions. He has a lot to say.
And we have also, Mayor, we've been reached out from Troop M because they have one dog in the troop area that the commander over there is also wants to start training with our dog in the event something was to happen and they needed assistance as well. So that's real good from the Mississippi Highway Patrol.
That's good. Thank you.
Also, we have Officer Jeremy Sherry. Officer Jeremy Sherry is one of our SWAT operators. Officer Sherry went to, on the week of March 7th through the 11th, he went down to Brookhaven and he completed a 40-hour sniper course. So he is a certified sniper through the Columbia Law Enforcement Training Academy. And with that being said, you might want to know why we need a sniper. With all the dignitaries and stuff we have coming to Natchez, with different things coming on at different times, we might have to partner with the Secret Service and different partners, different SWAT teams that come in town for different things. He was able to complete the course. The course is not real easy. He was able to complete shots from over 600 yards with precision.
Wow.
And yeah, so he went through a lot to get that. So I'm real proud of him.
Officer Sherry, I tell you, that is impressive, and we're so grateful. I see you out there all the time. Thank you for what you do.
With that, requisition for court services to attend training. When court services was moved under the police department, I talked with our city clerk, and their travel budget was not sent with it. So they don't have, on their line item, there's no money for travel. So I'm asking the board, we have 2 clerks that have a mandatory training. It's going to be in Tupelo, and the judges is paid for, but we have to, our judge pro tem, we need to pay for her room and her travel, but her registration is paid for because Judge Banks is, you got it? It's in Biloxi? I misread that. Okay, I'm sorry. Biloxi. You do what? Thank you, ma'am. That's why I keep her around. Now, this say Tupelo. Okay, but it's in Biloxi. The training will be in Biloxi. So I'm asking board permission for them to attend that training. It's mandatory training for our court services clerks.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a motion made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderwoman Irving? Discussion.
What's the dollar amount, Chief?
It is $1,154 a person times 2.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion? Call for the question.
Called. Second.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Chief.
Yes, sir. Also, we're requesting that 2 officers be allowed to attend internal affairs training in Tupelo. That's where I got the Tupelo from. Tupelo training. We're looking at investigator DeMarcus Longmire and Commander Green to handle internal affairs investigation. The training is in Tupelo, and the dollar amount for the 2 was $560 per person.
What is the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion. We'll call for the question.
Called.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Next thing is TLO software. Edmund. We presented this to our attorney. This is some software that is very, without going into details, it's very needed for the police department. When we had a trial sample, they gave us a 30-day sample. And in that 30-day sample, we were able to solve 3 cases. One was a sexual assault case. And currently right now, Detective Willis is working on a cold case murder she's very close to solving. This software will allow our detectives a much wider resource to track down individuals to help them with their cases. And it's $130 a month, which is about $1,500 a year.
120, 12 months non-renewal.
It's $130 a month for 12 months non-renewal. So asking the board's permission for that.
I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion on the motion.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderman Dillard.
First, what we're approving here, again, this has a March 1st effective date. So, Mr. Attorney, would it not be more appropriate that we have a current April the 12th date if we're voting on this to go into effect?
I can get that.
I agree, Mr. Alderman. You just overlooked that.
Well,
The signature date would be certainly April
correct.
12th.
Now, I mean, the other question is, I was looking in here and it talks about overages, transactional overage prices. I've read it a couple times while I'm sitting there and I still don't have an idea of what these overage pricing would be. Do you?
Yes, sir. As you see on the total on the right, you see the 200 per
Yes.
month. That's the 200 inquiries per month. If we go over that, then it varies from anywhere from $3 to $4 per inquiry over.
Well, I'm just curious, why wasn't any of that information included in this agreement so that I know that if you go over 200 transactions per month, that we've agreed upon a price? That would be my only question. I just couldn't, I agree with the point if they go over 200. What is the likelihood of 200 transactions a month?
I don't see it. I think we were averaging about 80. Just because we were averaging about 80 when we were trying it, when we first tried it.
Yeah, and just for my curiosity, what does triad or TRADS stand for?
Where you at?
Well, I mean, when we're looking at this, it talks about
Triad Services.
Okay.
Okay, Triad Service, that's the name of the company. TLO, it's a TransUnion. It's a TransUnion Credit Company. It's a division of them.
So the question I think, Mayor, that I think is of significance is the effective date. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Dillard. Further discussion?
All the question.
Question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries.
Thank
Thank you. Chief, you have two officers who have completed training.
Mhm.
And is Officer Sherry still here?
Yes, sir.
Let's get a quick picture.
Okay.
And I'll invite the chairwoman of the police committee to come down also, and members of the police committee. Tim doesn't want to be in the picture. You know, we can invite the other aldermen too. if that would be- Come on. I'm just looking at the clock. I know we take so much time in these meetings, but this is a great thing. We're so proud of what has been done. Yeah, right. That's a real accomplishment.
No idea how important that is.
She's thanking y'all for that software.
It's massive. Thank you. I read about it. That's huge.
Thank you. Thank you.
Always. Keep doing what you know to do.
Good things. You know, we let the chief get out of here without saying it, but he also has 5 recruits training right now. And it's going to put them, our police department, at the highest at the highest level of employment they've been at in years. And this is at a time when other agencies are struggling to find people to hire. So we are just so grateful for all the hard work. And I want to say a lot of this progress in getting recruits for the fire department and the police department would not be possible if it weren't for Caroline Deason working so hard in the Department of Human Resources. We now, it deserves a hand clap. You realize that puts us closer and closer to something I'd like to see accomplished, and that is accreditation for our police department for the first time in the history of Natchez. And that is our goal. That is our goal. City officials reports, Alderwoman Hall.
Yes, sir. Last month, I was invited by Mr. Tremont Smith, the engineer, the Blaine Construction Company, Mr. James Johnston, for a walkthrough through Marblestone area, and Daisy and Inez Streets on the North Natchez Drainage Project. It's outstanding work being done there. They're just a last few finishes to the area and adjustments that need to be made, and then there'll be another final walkthrough. But the area looks outstanding. Outstanding work being done there, and some green space will also be allocated in those areas. And I want to give another thanks to Ms. Sonora Cole and the Recreation Department for their outstanding work in the Recreation Department and for us moving forward with this recreation renewal, and for the work that Mr. Rutter and Mr. Johnston also assist in that area with. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Thank you for all of your hard work in all those areas. Alderman Frazier?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to get some type of clarification on some things that happened. First, I have some of my constituents been calling me in reference to maybe Mr. Dollar can help me, in reference to stop signs that are being placed downtown. They have a number of stop signs being placed all over town. Matter of fact, on Madison Street, I ran the one, I didn't even know it was down there. I ran the stop sign. I'm trying to find out, did you get permission to get those placed down there or what? I can't hear.
Mr. Johnson, Mr. Dollar, to the mic.
Yes, there was a review process, studies performed with the conjunction of the police department on that, absolutely. And that was, pretty sure presented to this board, but I can go back and pull the documents on all of it. I've got files on both locations.
Was it approved by the board? Because
Pretty sure, but I can tell you it's been, 2 months ago, but I can go back and pull the files and provide you all that information.
okay, and also in the interest of public safety, I'm for public safety for doing everything right. I have people calling and complaining about the detour sign there on the Arches and Deborah Street during
Where?
school time. Right there by Cathedral School.
Correct.
It's a detour sign.
For the safety of the children, yes, the traffic committee met. We looked at the concerns that were there, met with Cathedral School several times, the police department, fire department, and during that 1 hour in the afternoons, there is a detour there because there was some head-on collisions and so forth.
Okay, but it didn't come for the board.
It did come before the traffic committee. The mayor was in several meetings. We did speak.
But it didn't come for the board. That's what I'm saying.
I can't recall. I don't recall that.
So what I'm saying, I'm in the interest of public service. I'm for that, but
Right.
it should have came for the board. If we're gonna block the street, I put a detour sign there. You have other people using that street. You could have had emergency stuff, but
I guess that can be a question for Mr. Callaway as far as it needed to go before the board. If so, then maybe it didn't, but it was reviewed by the traffic committee. And everybody was in agreement. That was a recommendation set forth.
well, only thing I'm saying, I think it should have came for the board. I don't have a problem with the sign, with it there. But, like I say, you have other people who's confused and they was like, hey, I went down Archer Street and they got a detour sign.
It's probably the same individual that called my office.
Construction work going on there. It should be just put a sign and say school's going on. It's in a detour sign because construction work down there.
Where at?
Down there they got a detour sign.
Well, I would hope they would think that it's every day at the same exact
Same
time.
time
There's
the school's
two lines of
going
school traffic.
That's not but I'm saying it's not you got school going on, but it's a detour sign. Why you put a detour sign when the school's on down there?
There's also a detour sign at Frazier.
This is my,
I know.
I don't need, no.
Alderman Frazier
This is
has,
not cool.
Alderman Frazier, Yeah,
Right.
Alderman
So
Frazier.
The reason
you're
for the detour is because there's 2-lane traffic there, so the road is not wide enough to have 3. And what happens was cars were coming from the other direction and trying to pass, and there was some wrecks at that instant. So for that one particular block, there is a detour to go from around that particular block to get around that, absolutely.
The two-lane traffic is shooting up in one direction.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
And Alderman Frazier, we can certainly have our city attorney look into some of this to answer some of your questions you've raised today.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Anything further on your report?
Let me see, Mr. Mayor. I think that might be it. The reason why I said it because, we did this once before down on Main Street in Main and Martin Luther King. In order for us to put that stop sign there, we had to come before the board. You know where the people running the houses down there? Yeah. Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Frazier. Alderwoman Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just very quickly, I wanted to commend just a walkthrough at the Steckler Center recently with Colin and Alcorn and the Fallon Center and the school. Natchez High is thankfully going to let that building go for workforce development for the city to use. And I thought it was a great collaborative meeting for everybody to be on the same page as far as workforce development. And you might have more to add to that, but I thought it was very, very good. I think there's some good things that are going to happen with this efforts the city's making, and I'm very excited. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderwoman Smith. And yes, we are very excited and very grateful for the leadership of Tawana Williams, and we're very grateful for our ongoing relationship with Alcorn and our ongoing relationship with Colin. And I would say specifically, we were very grateful to have Colin's president, Jane Hewlin Sims, in attendance yesterday. And I think it was one of the best meetings we've ever had on collaborative efforts pertaining to workforce development. Thank you for your report. Alderwoman Irving, you're recognized.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to begin with Ward 4 Neighborhood Watch. The Monavies Neighborhood Watch meeting will be where at Macedonia Baptist Church, 33 Minor Street, on Wednesday, April 13, 2022 at 6 p.m. Special guests will be the Natchez Police Chief Joseph Daltrey, Commander Cal Green, a Clear Path Behavioral Health Crisis Therapist, Mr. Rick Marino, and the Honorable Judge Lisa Jordan-Dale. I also want to share, Mayor, that I had attended a Civil Rights Trail Committee meeting as well. It was on April 6th. They're going to be coming to the board, and the Civil Rights Trail Committee want to purchase a marker for the Deacon's Defense. That location of the marker will be at the Martin Luther King, on Dr. Martin Luther King Street. They're asking the board for funding in the amount of, well, let me just say, the total cost of the mark is $9,000. And they're asking the board for a third of that, $3,000. Visit Natchez is going to do $3,000. And they're going to the state for the last portion, or the final portion of $3,000. So the total cost is $9,000. So Mr. Purnell or a member of that committee will be coming to the board asking for that donation. I also reached out to all the members of the board, and everyone was in favor of it. So I thank them for that, because that's going to be a win-win for Natchez, along with the triangle on MLK and the forks of the road. That is going to be. Also, Mr. Mayor, I attended the Natchez Freshman Academy Career Fair. And I want to say our police chief was, one of the members of our police department was there, Commander Cal Green. Mrs. Hall was there along with myself representing the city of Natchez. And it was overall a great event to have attended. I think we saw maybe approximately, and I want to leave out Mrs. Deason and Mrs. Consuela. What's the last name? I don't recall the last name.
Madison.
Madison. Miss Madison was there, and everyone was very excited about being there, but the opportunity to communicate with the youth that were there. I mean, having them share They wanted to learn about the mayor and board of aldermen, what the mayor do, and we share with them what were the duties of the legislative body of the board of aldermen. Also, I asked a few questions. What were some of their concerns that they may have? Recreation was one. We need more fun things to do. And so I shared with them that our recreation department, we're investing in new equipment for our playgrounds. We're gonna update the goals that we have there. We're gonna update all the amenities. I even shared with them with the restrooms and all. They're gonna see new items. And so in the midst of that, that's giving them hope that recreation will come about. But they also shared that they want to see litter picked up in our community. And I comprised a list of about 25 students that were there that volunteered and want to help. So I shared with them that I would be asking, this month is Earth Day. It's April 22nd. And so it's a national holiday that's recognized nationally. So that's one of the things that I want to ask. In the past, we have had a community-wide cleanup. And that's something I want to see if, I know we probably won't do it before Earth Day. However, we could possibly get that done the end of the month or May. But this is, spring is approaching and so people are purchasing items, wanting to get rid of large items. And so that's something that we need to consider with the community-wide cleanup. And I'll be glad to work with that committee, Mr. Dollar. I guess it will include, in the past, it has included our planning department as well with the cleaning.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Very good report.
And
Thank you,
that is my
Alderman.
report.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Alderman Davis, your report.
Monday, me and the mayor attended the Habitat for Humanity building a house in my ward in Ward 5 on Oakland and Morgan. Habitat for Humanity, they're looking for some volunteers. Majority of the people that's working over there in their late 60s, 70s, and 80s. They work on Mondays from 8 to 12, Wednesdays from 8 to 12, and Saturday from 8 to 12. So it's a lot of elderly men over there working, so they need some younger volunteers. So we're trying to find somebody. And I congratulate Mr. Andrew Carroll because he's doing a good job. He said he did at least 24 houses with that program. And this week is a telecommunication week for the dispatchers. They go into all the schools and educating the kids on the E911 on 911. And they're doing. If you see a dispatcher, want to give them your appreciation because they're really doing a good job. And they're really the first line that the community talk to before we get to the police department. And also, it was a career fair at Colleen this week. And the fire marshal, which the fire chief I already talked about, he was there. He did an outstanding job and meeting with the public. And also, Commander Carol Green, she was there. And the Human Resource Department, Ms. Deason and Consuelo. But all of them that was there at this meeting at the career fair, they represented the community well. That ends my report, man.
Very good report, and thank you, and appreciate all you do, Alderman Davis.
Yeah.
Alderman Dillard, your report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No report at this time.
Okay. Thank you, Alderman.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Alderwoman.
may I add
Hall.
one more thing to my report?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, this past week or last week, Mr. Johnston, Wilmar Construction, Mr. Waycaster, and I did a walkthrough at the pool. Everything looks very good over there. The bleachers are in, the lockers, exterior and interior are in. Mr. Wilmar is waiting on a part for the exterior lockers, which are coin operated, to come in, and that will be completed. Also, the heater is in and the chlorinator. Everything looks very good. And they will be, I think, draining, if they have not already drained the pool. There's a lot of sand at the bottom, according to Mr. Ware. And we did encourage him to go ahead and release the water so they can get that sand out. I think Cathedral wants to start using that pool at the end of the month.
Thank you so much. And we appreciate your vigilance in making sure that project has gone well.
Thank you.
And you have not let up. And the final result is definitely good.
Thank you.
And we appreciate all
Thank
you've
you.
done.
And also the fire department was also at the career fair at the Freshman Academy Friday.
Yes, yes. Heard so many good things
Yes,
about it.
thank
We
you.
appreciate everyone who was in attendance, in all of our schools, doing so many good things. We will now move on to the city clerk's report. Madam Clerk, you're recognized.
Thank you. The first thing on my report would be the request for approval of the first April claims docket.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall to approve the claims docket, seconded by Alderwoman Smith. Discussion? Alderwoman Irving?
I just wanted to say, to include me with approving the docket with the exception of the budget for the fire department. I also want
Thank
to
you.
just ask a question.
Yes, ma'am.
And, did the city of Natchez meet the threshold for the storm that took place in February of 2021? And my reason for asking that is because here in our budget, I see we're having to fund it or pay for it. We're asking for a request to pay for it. So federal funds had not come in, and are they coming in? Did we
Oh,
meet the
yes,
threshold?
they actually,
They
they
were
have.
approved, we just have not received the reimbursement.
Okay, so I just, and because it's never been clear, did we meet the threshold?
It's a very good question. We
Okay.
did meet the threshold. The funds have been approved, and we expect them anytime.
Yeah, we were told that we should have them by the end of March, which is why we did the extension on that loan.
Right.
And it was extended through April 2nd. We have gone ahead and repaid that loan rather than extend it again, incur more interest, et cetera. But we have not yet received the reimbursement. We're still being told any day.
Yes. And that reimbursement will be in excess of $500,000. I forget
I
what,
think it's closer to 700,000.
that's what I thought, yeah. But we understand that there have been delays all across the country in getting these FEMA reimbursements. We're just very grateful that the reimbursement is on its way.
And then my next question is debris tech.
That was part of those expenses that will be submitted for reimbursement as well.
Okay, so did Mrs. Susan Hartman ever get paid? Did she submit an invoice?
I have not seen an invoice from ER Assist, but.
I imagine they've been waiting for us to be reimbursed.
Right, yeah, until this project is kind of complete for them before they would submit their invoice.
And then their reimbursement, once they are paid, then that is also reimbursable.
And we are also working on submitting for reimbursements for the interest on the loans as well. So.
All right, then one other thing, and I don't know if this is an error or not, but Mr. Wolberg, he's been paid out of the golf contract services.
Did it
Could
come
have
out of
been an
golf
error.
rather than tennis? Okay, we'll look
On
at
page
that.
51.
That's an easy enough journal entry to correct.
Okay. And then my next question is, looking at our claims docket, we hadn't spent any funding from our general obligation bond. Nothing has been spent. Am I looking at that correct way?
You're looking in the budget status?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, I haven't gotten to that yet, but I was trying to get to the docket.
Oh, okay,
first.
okay. Well, I can save that question.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
And that ends my question.
Thank you. Further discussion on the claims docket.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Alderman Dillard.
actually, my question is going to probably be on the small claims, so I can wait. That'll be next.
All right, thank you. Further discussion?
Call the question.
Call the question.
Second.
We will proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Madam Clerk.
All right, next item will be a request for approval of the first April mini claims docket.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Motion
Second.
made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion on the motion.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderman Dillard.
And it kind of leads into the discussion that was just going on. In your report under item number 5, you are asking for a retroactive approval of repayment for the ice storm, $557,345.91. But in the claims docket, again, it's already in the claims docket, small claims docket, so that's already been paid, correct?
That's why I'm asking for the retroactive approval. So the small claims docket is everything that we had to pay prior to the approval of the docket. So it's put on the small claims docket to go back, and it's, basically retroactive approval. But for the amount that, I paid on that loan and, paying off a loan prior to the approval of it, just want to kind of make sure that it's brought to y'all's attention and not just included on the claims docket and potentially overlooked.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Further questions, discussion?
Yes, sir. I have
Yes,
a question.
Alderwoman Irving.
So, the Natchez Cemetery Association, am I looking at this correctly, or October through March? Are we paying them $6,000 per month from October to March, or is it just one $6,000?
It's one $6,000 payment. So what happened was in the budget, the way that their appropriation broke down, they should have been receiving $7,000 a month.
Mhm.
The previous city clerk had set up their reoccurring invoice for $6,000 a month. So it was brought to our attention. We were playing catch up, get them up to speed, and now we'll continue with the 7,000 monthly appropriations.
Thank you. Further discussion?
One more question, Mr. Mayor.
The question, I'm sorry, Alderman Dillard, did you have a question?
Yeah, and again, I'm probably behind the curve here, but the discussion that was going on about the debris tech, another $122,000, is that part of the payback of the loan that's listed down there at 557, or is that a different charge altogether?
That's a different charge altogether. Those were invoices that had not been paid, that were left lingering. This company was, pretty adamant that they wanted their money. We owed them that money, and it will also be reimbursable expenses from that ice storm.
So that's
we
why
have-
that reimbursable will probably be more than $557,000,
Right, well, so
because it
we are
also had to
anticipating
account for the monitoring services to qualify. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Dillard. We'll call for the question.
Second.
Question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Next item on my list is the approval of the March 2020 new hire and termination report.
What is the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderwoman Irving. Discussion on the motion?
Is this in fact what we have in the little envelope here?
Mhm, that's what's in there.
Call the question.
Question has been called.
Second.
We'll now proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is the request for the retroactive approval of the repayment of the Ice Storm 2021 loan to Home Bank on April 1st, 2022 in the amount of $557,345.91, of which $556,939.81 was the principal and $406.10 being interest that was incurred over that 30-day extension. So just approval for paying back that loan.
What is the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall,
Second.
second by Alderwoman Smith. Discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
So again, it's gonna be a total of 700,000 plus what's in, Public Works Department, because I see we got 8,000, right about $10,000 over there in that department as
Right,
well.
so it was the
So-
Public Works labor that went into that ice storm cleanup. It was the Looks Great invoices. It was the Debris Tech invoices. It's the ER Assist invoice for their assistance in getting all of this pushed through and approved through FEMA and MEMA, as well as the interest on the loans.
Okay, so,
And everything, that has been paid has been submitted for reimbursement.
thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Thank you. Further questions, discussion?
Called for the question.
Second.
We'll proceed now to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. I just want to say, it's hard to imagine, a little over a year ago, we were dealing with that ice storm, and it was unprecedented. And I am so grateful that we look back how quickly we recovered, but also the fact that the vast majority of the expense in cleaning up our city is being reimbursed.
Mhm.
And we're just grateful. A lot of people have worked on this, a lot of help, and I'm very grateful for the patience of vendors who have worked with us as we've been awaiting the reimbursement. And we didn't want to pay until we had full knowledge we'd already paid some that we had full knowledge of, but we wanted to get full knowledge of the rest of the reimbursement approval before we paid the rest. And that has happened, and we couldn't be more grateful. Yes, Alderwoman Smith.
Just wanted to commend the city clerk for being able to answer all these questions. It's been recommended by the municipal league that we don't do this in meetings because you don't have a computer in front of you and all the information, but you've done a great job. And I hope that we can get better about not doing that to you. I thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I really appreciate you saying that, Alderwoman Smith. It is true. And I know our clerk is there, always ready to answer a question and meet with any member of the Board of Aldermen at their convenience. The next item, Madam Clerk.
Okay, the next item is a request for the retroactive approval. I traveled April 5th to Jackson for training with the Department of Finance on travel and travel-related expenses, et cetera. That was something that came up after our last meeting and kind of had to make a decision that I needed, to go up there and meet with them and go through that training. So I couldn't get it approved prior to today's meeting.
So moved. Second.
What is the pleasure of the board? Alderwoman Smith has made the motion. Alderwoman Hall has seconded it. Now do we have discussion?
What was the amount?
It was a one-day travel, but then we had that storm coming in, so I actually spoke with the mayor and Alderwoman Hall, and they, gave me the okay to go up the night before. So I think it was a $94 for the hotel and $120 for mileage. That was minimal.
Okay.
All right. And further discussion? We'll call for the question.
Called.
We'll
Second.
proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Next item is the budget status report, and I just kind of wanted to kind of review where we are at the 6 month marker in our budget year. So you can take a look at page 28 of the budget status report, and about a third of the way down, you'll see the total received revenues versus the total paid expenses for the general fund. We have collected almost 55% of our projected revenues, and we have expended approximately 51% of our projected budget expenses in the general fund. So we're on track. I mean, if you're looking at those 50% markers at 6 months, everything is looking pretty good. And then overall, we have collected approximately 54% of projected revenues for the budget in total, and have expended approximately 47% of the projected expenses for the overall budget, not just the general fund.
I just applaud you. Ms. McKenzie, you and your team, Ms. Denise Bell, and everyone else helping there at City Hall, you have really done an amazing job for us in a short period of time. And it's good to see now that we have our figures, we're seeing where we are, and we are in good condition. And this is not something that anyone should take lightly. This is during a pandemic. This has been a time of uncertainty. It's also been a time where we've been having to look at raises for employees, and we have actually had some unprecedented raises just to keep our city competitive. For instance, what we did recently in Public Works, in Fire Department, other city employees. And we've done all this without raising taxes. And we've done all of this also while getting our audits current. And I also want it said, just for the record, that Ms. McKenzie and her staff were able to complete the reconciliations for the past budget year. And it was a lot of work, but everything was transferred on time to our accountants. They're working on the audit for the budget year just passed, and we're going to be on time for the first time in many years with the city's budget audit.
Mr. Mayor, I would
Alderwoman
like to
Hall.
add that this has all occurred during a time of transition for the city clerk's office.
Yes, it has. And so we're just grateful, very grateful. Further discussion? Further discussion? And any questions? Okay. All right, we will move on to the next item, Madam Clerk.
Okay, the next item, I have, request to move, and this is, and I know I had it on y'all's list, that I was gonna try to have the budget amendments to you all, due to some extenuating circumstances. That didn't happen. I do hope to be able to get those hard copies out to you by the end of the week for you all to review all of the budget amendments, and approve those at the next meeting. But one that I would like to address today, is in golf, request to move $20,000 from the equipment budget to the repairs and maintenance budget. This is for the purpose of one of the mowers that it was put in the budget to purchase a new mower. And that $20,000 was budgeted to basically pay the loan payments on that new mower. Greg came and spoke with me. He is not able to purchase that new mower. If we go ahead and put the order in right now, the hope is that we would have it by April of 2023. So the mower that we currently have is in the shop and it's in need of repairs that are totaling approximately $17,000. He has to have this mower. We can't buy a new one. The current mower is 10 years old. I asked him what the estimated life expectancy would be after putting $17,000 worth of repairs into it. That's always a gamble. You never really know. So he wasn't able to answer that question. But at this point, we don't really have another direction to go. But I did just want to make sure that the board was aware of this and approved this budget amendment in order to get the current mower repaired.
So moved.
Thank you. The motion has been made by Alderman Davis, I believe.
Was it Davis or
Dillard.
Dillard?
It don't matter.
Alderman Davis,
Second.
and it was seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion on the motion.
I just have one
Yes,
question.
Alderwoman Irving is recognized.
Okay, thank you. I just want to say that maybe Mr. Brooking could speak with Mr. Dollar. He purchased equipment on the buyback program. I think we keep that equipment for what, 5 years, Mr. Dollar? We keep that equipment for 5 years, our equipment in the buyback program?
Yeah, but all equipment is not.
Budget, the same.
That's a species specialized.
It is a specialized mower.
Okay, that was just food for thought. I mean, because it does create a savings. You know, you keep it for 5 years instead of 15, and so that's the mindset.
That's a good
Okay.
point.
Okay.
Further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
Mr. Attorney, can we legally move that money around like that?
It's his budget.
All right.
Call for the question?
Second.
Question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Madam Clerk, does that conclude your report?
I have a couple of other
Sure.
items that are just, one, I received a letter from Waste Pro, just informing us that there will be a price increase effective April 1st. We do have a few dumpsters that we have through Waste Pro. They didn't say what the increase would be, only that there would be one, and I just wanted to make you all aware of that. That we are looking at an increase there. And then also, I was asked.
A quick question, that pertains to dumpsters that are leased by the city?
Correct. I think we've got one at Transit, one at Senior Center.
Okay.
I'm not sure where all the locations are.
Yes, the convention center. All right, thank you. Yes, I'm sorry, continue.
No, that's okay. The last thing I have is Alderwoman Irving brought me this and asked me to please read this. It's to the Mayor and Board of Aldermen. It says, "Dear Mayor and Board of Aldermen, this thank you card is to express immense gratitude I have for your support after the death of my loved one, my sister Gladys Bridgewater Minor. Thank you for your sympathy shown during this difficult time. I find comfort in the fact that my and friends are thinking of me and my family. I am sincerely appreciative of your support. With love, Felicia Bridgewater Irving, Alderwoman, Ward 4.
Thank you, baby.
Thank you.
And again, our
Alderman.
condolences for your loss.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
And I believe the only other item I have is a potential executive session item under personnel.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Mr. Callaway, you were I'm sorry, Alderman Frazier.
I just have one question. Meg,
Yes, sir.
just find out how many dumpsters we have.
I will, yeah. I believe it was 4 or 5, but I would have to check the exact location.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Callaway, you're recognized to the attorney's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first item is approval of the second amended depot lease. This has been batted around for about a month. This is final form, having met with Mr. Slover and his constituents. The changes were highlighted in a memo that I sent to the board. The contracting party is being changed to Churchill Depot Holdings LLC, which is a portion of a set of LLCs that are operating the depot, the restaurant, and the Broadway Entertainment District. So there's a change in name, but it is in essence, a subsidiary LLC, which is not unusual or alarming to me in any way. The same principles are involved. The other changes are the lessor or lessee has presented evidence of expenditures in the amount of $234,000 and change, which has triggered the credit for rent provisions of the lease. The leasehold is described in the exhibits. The plans are described in the exhibits. And the expenditures, which if you include the parking lot, I think are almost $3 million, are set forth in the lease. And there's a deadline of October 30th, 2022 that is set forth in this lease agreement. As we know, that we've kind of been through unprecedented times with COVID and supply delays. That date is subject to reasonable commercial delays, which are documented because the principals are involved in other businesses, as we know. They're having trouble getting restaurant equipment. They think this deadline is absolutely can be met, but in an abundance of caution, if there is a supply problem with restaurant equipment that they need or something else that they plan that can't be delivered due to supply limitations, that will trigger their ability to cure any breach. So those are the highlights of the changes to the lease, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you have.
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the changes.
So moved.
Motion has been made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderwoman Smith. Discussion on the motion.
Yes.
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
Mr. Slover, you don't know when they're gonna get started on this, or what?
So.
Mr. Slover, if you'll come to the microphone.
Yes, sir.
And I want to just say, Mr. Slover is representing the client and is not here in his capacity as county attorney.
Sure. I'm sure you'd rather see me anyway, so. So a lot like legal work, you can't actually see what they've done. That's why they included the expenses that they've done. There's been some dirt work, architectural designs, and your professionals and so forth. And what the way they want to do is they want to order the equipment and they want to have the build out come into play consistent with when the equipment arrives. So they don't want a bunch of equipment that is about $800,000, as you'll see on your sheet, sitting there not being used. They want, as soon as the equipment to come in, it to be put in place and built and gone. The financier of this particular project has built 58 restaurants, as he's told me numerous times. He may have told you all that too. And so he's got everything to, kind of precision into that. So I can't tell you when hard and fast it's going to be. I should know something. I hope to know something this week. And I think that's something that we've, according to your group, has gotten we need to get better at is communicating where we're at, so it doesn't look like nothing's happening, what we're waiting on and so forth, have that communicated better. But we should know within the next week or so, here's when the equipment should come in. That means the build out should be starting around this time and should all come into play. So that equipment isn't sitting outstanding, just not doing anything. $800,000 for them. If you spend that money, then it's not earning any interest and so forth. And when you're, an investor and you're earning 12% on your money, you want to keep it there as long as possible. So that's the reason by wanting not to go ahead and just spend it, go ahead and just build the restroom or so forth. They're waiting so it all makes sense and that you're maximizing use of your money. And I've been, again, told many times that the parking lot has already been purchased and that's money that's just sitting there, it should have been earning money and it's not, it's just sitting there for them. So, but no, I would love to give you a hard date, but I don't want to tell you something that's not true. But I plan on giving you a hard date as soon as they know and keep the city in the loop. So just like they had the planning session, we want to make sure we got, somebody that, from the city that has background and that kind of thing to help make sure y'all know as everything's on the up and up. So,
Mr. Mayor.
All right, Alderwoman Hall.
Yes, I would like to thank you, the Public Properties Committee, both attorneys and the lessor for where we are today with this new lease agreement and the amendment to the new lease agreement. Because I think we have a better idea. We have better communication, as you alluded, and that was one of the problems. In addition to the pandemic, there wasn't enough communication. But I think we're now on the right track. And as long as we continue, and I know we will, keep Archives and History and the Preservation Commission involved as well, we're going to be okay.
Yeah, I think you're going to have a really good use of that property consistent with the city plan that y'all have adopted and are pushing forward. It's in conjunction with the whole entertainment area with the city plan that y'all are pushing. And if, I think this is, the people are going to make it work because they've made it work before. But if that worst case scenario doesn't happen, you're going to have a really terrific building that you'll have somebody in there that meets what you're trying to do one way or the other. So if I was sitting on your side of the table, I think this is a real exciting project. You're getting a city property that really has needed work. We've known for years and years and years. You're finally getting that together and getting it done. You're not having to come out of your budgetary items and pulling money out of other resources that you wanted to do it. It's really a good project for the city. So I would be, if I was sitting on your end, pretty happy with it too. Yeah.
Thank you.
So nothing's changed within the building itself. I know the architect, but what we got on the books now gonna remain the same for the building.
What do you mean? I'm sorry. What do you mean by that?
No changes, anything in the building itself.
The improvements on the building are basically this, and I put it in there. I made the plans. I took out who the plans are for. I put the city of Natchez because this is a city's building and there are improvements to the building and y'all are saying you shall make these improvements to the building. And that's part of the agreements. They got to do that. So there will be changes to the building, but it's changes that y'all have agreed to. It's changes that Archives and History has agreed to. Those are required. Those improvements are required by the agreement. I hope I'm answering. I'm sorry, Billy.
I have one more question.
Yes,
yes, sir.
The question I have, the parking lot was not the city parking lot money. Do they have any changes for the parking lot, or are they planning on just making that, leaving it as a parking lot, or what? Do you know?
The parking lot is crucial to the restaurant being operatable. It's also important to having events at that area, and so about half that space is actual parking, and the other half is green space. And so that part it's crucial for them to have events and so forth for not just for the restaurant part of it. Parking's crucial, but there's also an auxiliary kitchen that's crucial to the events and so forth. So it's all part of the same, whatever you want to call it, plan or so forth to have that as an entertainment district. Are they improving the parking lot? Not not in this particular document, but obviously they need that. It's crucial. I believe the ultimate plan is to have parking that, you kind of comes from that park, not just from the street, but it kind of comes in for, people that may need help getting in to the building or whatever, like handicap situation there. Also valet parking with they'll need a pull-in spot for that. So hopefully that answered your question.
Thank you. Further discussion.
Call for the question. Second.
Question has been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Silver. Mr. Callaway, thank you for all your work on this. And it is an exciting time for Natchez. I would say that with the delay, Natchez has actually ended up in a better position because they now have expanded even again the scope of the project. And this is going to be the finest restaurant, we are told, on the Mississippi River, with also the best view of any restaurant on the Mississippi River. And this includes Memphis and New Orleans and Baton Rouge in that equation. So we're just grateful. Thank you.
I'm gonna type up that.
You want to just take this? So you'll know.
I'm gonna leave it right there. I'll be right back.
You go.
Next item, Mr. Attorney.
I'm gonna skip over to deeds of reversion, Mr.
Okay.
Mayor. Right there. I don't want to, Mr. Slover's got a filing system and I got one. So, we are closing in on finalizing Under the Hill and the progress towards raising Silver Street. There is a matter that needs to be cleaned up, and this comes from the original leases of the ramp when gambling was taking place in the form of boats, Lady Luck, or Isle Capri Under the Hill. In 1993, this board approved a deed and agreement regarding Fulton Street and the old ferry ramp, which had reversion clauses. And in essence, what happened was the city got Fulton and the big lanes, which is Silver Lane. Silverland got the old Ferry Street landing where Lady Luck was parked. And as long as there was a tenant there, then Big Lane would continue to have Old Ferry Street ramp, and Natchez would have the Fulton Street ramp. Well, we all know that the boats have left. The reversions have in essence occurred by operational law. This will just clean up the record and show the true ownership. Natchez owns the Ferry Street ramp, which is where all the construction is taking place, and Fulton Street has reverted to the big lanes.
Mr. Callaway, if I could interrupt,
Sure.
Alderwoman Smith has to be
I
recognized.
just want to make sure this has nothing to do with my employer UMB, one of the owners of the bank. Am I
No,
good?
this is Silverland.
Silverland,
But
I just want to make sure.
yes,
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
I'm
No,
sorry,
no,
but we
just
wanted to
checking.
clarify that. Thank you, Alderwoman Smith. You would please continue.
Yes, this is family operation, not bank operation.
Thank you.
Alderwoman. So, Mr. Bruce Keenly represents Silverland, and he has provided a deed of reversion which returns Fulton Street to the Fulton Street ramp to Silverland, Inc. There is one change that has to be made. I notified him this morning, in that the city will reserve any minerals that it owns on that property, which is required by law. I think probably, I haven't run the title on minerals. Big Lane or Silverland probably owns those minerals, but we are going to reserve anything that we do own. And then there is a deed of reversion where the city is returning, Big Lane's returning the old ferry landing to the city of Natchez, which again is required by the deed and agreement of the Fulton Street Old Ferry Ramp Riverfront Footage and Water Street Agreement, which I gave you a copy of the original so the Alderman can see it, and is cited in both of the deeds. is cleaning up what's technically happening by operation law, but it does leave a better, cleaner record for anyone coming behind me and seeing where these titles lie. Because thank goodness for Walter Brown, and I will say that a lot in my life, but he has this blue book that maps under the hill, and even running records regarding under the hill. I found documents that aren't in the blue book, so it is complicated under the hill, ladies and gentlemen, but this will help keep the record clean.
Thank you. Mr. Callaway, you've worked very hard. We thank you for all of your work. I will entertain a motion to approve the deed of
So
reversion.
moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall. Have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderwoman Smith. We'll have discussion. Yes,
One
Alderman
question, and
Dillard.
that is, you know what, I'm just not going to even ask that question. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Dillard.
Mr. Attorney,
Alderman Fraser.
Yes, sir.
where the old lady look, that's still gonna be, so that's going back to Big Lane, where the old lady look.
Where Old Lady Luck was is the old Ferry Street landing that the city owns.
Okay,
And in that agreement in 93, we swapped. But by operation law, they swapped back, but this will just clean the record up and have a clear title to it.
okay, so up by the saloon, that's the Fulton Street one,
That is the Fulton Street lamp, and that is Silverland.
Silver Lane.
Right.
So Big Lane, that's Big Lane property, right?
Big Lane family, yes, sir.
Okay, so have we cleared up, I heard you say something about from there, from that ramp back down to the old lady luck ramp, you have Water Street. Who owns that? City, that part of the city?
Water Street would actually run north towards the casino that's under Roth Hill right now, Alderman.
No.
Right?
No. Water Street runs from the, where the old lady luck is up to the saloon, right in that area section right there, that's Water Street too.
There's no,
That's what
I would clean it up. All this cleans up is the two ramps, the Fulton Street ramp.
Okay,
Water Street, as I understand it, lies north of Fulton Street ramp towards, which used to be either the old sawmill or under the hill.
or see,
But
that's,
Big Lane, Silverland owns the Fulton Street ramp to the north edge of the Ferry Street ramp between the river and Silver Street, according to the agreement in 1993 entered into by the city and the transactions of that.
well, the reason why I'm saying it, because like I say, it's confusing to me because in 1976, Water Street was right there in front of, before they even put the casino there, there was a Water Street right there. When the ramp at now, it ran north and south. So if the river go down now, you'll see it's a street down there, right down in front of all those restaurants. So from my understanding, that was city property. Then you had Steve had a boat landing down there, which is headed going right by the saloon. You had Steve down there.
Correct.
So I say, I'm kind of like confused because like say, I don't know who owned all this property, but this property, I do know in 76, right there where the boat ramp at, right there where the casino was at, there was a turnaround and it was a boathouse. There's a guy stayed there by the name of New Tuck. That's where it went. Then you got the street going, then you had a street go down on the boat ramp. Then you had Water Street going to your right, which was headed back north. And from my understanding, that was city property.
I think as of 1993, that's probably was cleared up as being Big Lane property, including riparian rights in the river. And Water Street now just runs north from the Fulton Street ramp in front of the saloon.
Well, like I say, the street was down there, and from my understanding, from like I say, Mr. Walter Brown, from my understanding, and it was a street down there, the city of Natchez, before they cut the curb in here, ran 1,000 feet out into the river. but the river took it away. So I don't know. Let's move on, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Frazier. Further discussion?
Call the question.
The question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Mr. Callaway.
Mr. Mayor, the next would be the ordinance to increase the fine for littering in the parks. I presented that to the board and mayor. It should have been in your package. In essence, all we did was amend the penalty section of section 6694 of the city code to include provision that if you litter in the parks, your fine is $1,000 for each violation and you are banned from that park.
Okay. This has been tabled. To entertain this, I would need a motion to remove this from the table.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion on the motion to remove it from the table. This is just so that we can discuss the motion. We need to remove it from the table. I'll call the question on that. It's just a simple vote. All in favor of removing it from the table so that we can discuss it?
Aye.
Aye. All in favor, we'll roll call it. Alderwoman Hall.
Aye.
Alderman Frazier. Alderwoman Smith.
Aye.
Alderwoman Irving.
Aye.
Alderman Davis. Alderman Dillard.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion carries. The motion now is the original motion that was made in the last meeting by Alderwoman Hall, which has prompted the drafting of this ordinance. And that motion is now before the board, and that motion is to increase the penalty for littering at city parks to $1,000 and to allow anyone found guilty of littering in the parks to be banned from using the park.
So moved.
That motion's already on the floor, and we now invite discussion. Yes, Alderman Davis.
How long will they be banned? That's my question.
Life.
For life?
That's a
Or
good
misdemeanor?
question.
Yeah, a misdemeanor for life?
Right now, it does not
I think it should be
define.
like a year
Okay.
instead of for life.
Would you
Year?
accept that as a
Absolutely, yes.
friendly amendment? All right. The such banned for 1 year.
Mr. Mayor.
The motion had been seconded by Alderwoman Smith. Is that amendment acceptable to you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mr.
Okay.
Mayor.
Alderwoman Irving, yes.
Okay, how is that gonna be enforced?
The way they're enforced now. I want to just say something, and I'll give you an example. Speed signs, littering signs, other signs. The signs themselves are very important as a deterrent. For example, we recently, with the MDOT's help, were able to put signage, better posting our no truck zones. Those signs have helped greatly. We also, a few months ago, put new signs along an area of the bluff that had been prone to extreme litter issues. Since the signs have been posted, areas, people walking and living in that area have reported that all littering has stopped. And so signs themselves are a great deterrent. And it also allows, should our police witness the event, to do something about it. So, I would say that these deterrents have worked for many years in stopping speeders, and stopping litter bugs, and stopping other things. And so I think that enforceability is a non-issue.
Well, also, Mr. Mayor, there have been, the signs are on the park. I know the one at Concord. It has a sign up there, no littering and, in the park. It's there. So we're not overreaching with the fine and increasing, because as community members, all parks are for all members of the community. I mean, you use them for various reasons, activity, mental health, no one should be banned from a park
But no one should be
should be
entitled
laying in
to
the
trash
park.
a park either.
And we have trash cans. I mean, have we looked at the parks to see? Because I'm in Jack Wake Park pretty often, and I'm over by Concord pretty often, and they're relatively clean.
Mhm.
They're relatively clean because we have waste cans there now. At one time, we didn't have enough,
Right.
but they're in different locations, and so I honestly don't feel that there's a need unless we renting the parks out and they have a birthday party over. Well, that's something that should be in the contract when someone receive that, make their payment, that they're gonna allocate that time span for 4 hours or what have you, then that party knows not to what, leave any litter. But our parks are relatively clean.
Call for the question and we vote.
Okay.
We have a vote.
We have a vote. Alderman Fraser has a comment.
In this park situation, like, I understand very much about living, but let me say this, banning someone, you know, I'm against that ban, but here's the thing is too, and in certain incidents, certain cases, that's like, and I can see your point and the rest of the board point about the $1,000 fine. Hey, I'm having a terrible problem with people dumping furniture in the city park. Now, if we catch somebody over there dumping a couch or somebody taking their home furniture in the city park, they need a $1,000 fine. They need to be banned. But, you know, that incident now, and just throwing that kind of garbage and stuff, they need a $1,000 fine. But, and just for a little trash and stuff like that, most people, it's gonna be hard for the police to catch them unless they did. So, you know, this, in a sense, it's a good law, and in a sense, it's a bad law because this is an ordinance. But like I say, Mr. Mayor, I think we ought to make it, if you're gonna do a $1,000 fine, if they're dumping couches and stuff like that in the city park, that's a different story. Because sometimes people don't be aware that they left their trash or throwing their trash over there.
Thank you, Alderman Fraser. Alderman Smith?
All you have to do is not litter. It's the right thing to do, and we all know it. Very simple. Call for the question.
Second.
Question's been called. We, Alderwoman Irving has stepped out. We're going to wait for her. I just want to say, we're working so hard and we're investing a lot of money in our parks, and anything we can do to deter littering, I think is a good thing.
Well, Mr. Mayor, what I'm on the discussion, is there any way possible that I can get a deterrent of a camera or something over at the Natchez Youth Center about dumping trash and stuff? Because like I said, I'm gonna have people dumping household items over here.
The question has been called. I think we'll wait, but I will tell you, when we renovate the youth center, we're definitely going to be installing cameras. All right. Here we go. All right. Alderwoman Irving, the question's been called. We are now proceeding to a vote. We were just waiting for you. All right. We will now proceed to a vote. We will take this as a roll call vote. Alderwoman Hall.
Aye.
Alderman Fraser.
Nay.
Alderwoman Smith.
Aye.
Alderwoman Irving.
Mayor, I just want to just.
I'm
ask, is
sorry.
for the increase
Discussion
of
is
the
over.
fine?
It is.
Nay.
Alderman Davis.
Aye.
Alderman Dillard.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you. Mr. Callaway, if we could go back to the discussion of zoning for medical marijuana, I will actually provide a report. The Alderman, the Ordinance Committee met yesterday and agreed that in view of the fact that we, as a city, have decisions to make with regard to where medical marijuana will exist, that it is preferable, if it is allowed within the city limits of Natchez, that it be confined to a medical district. And we would suggest that a motion be made today. Alderwoman Hall, I believe you're prepared to make the motion, and that is the motion would instruct our city attorney to work with the city planner in developing a map of a proposed medical district to exist in the area close in proximity to Merit Health, the old community hospital, the area along Jeff Davis Boulevard known as Doctors Row, the area along the Highland area, and in addition to that, the area involving Tracetown, and that the consideration of the board would be that medical marijuana businesses would be confined and would be a permitted use in a medical district such as described. Alderwoman Hall, do you wish to make that motion?
I do.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, Alderwoman Smith has seconded the motion. This will allow the city attorney and the city planner to work on a map of a medical district for the city of Natchez. Any discussion? Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
Okay, so first I want to ask, what's the difference between medical marijuana and cannabis? Can that be answered? Medical marijuana and cannabis.
Cannabis is the product. Medical marijuana is the legal authority to make it dispensable to patients within the state, would be my answer.
Okay, but in cannabis use for that purpose as well?
Cannabis is marijuana, as I understand.
It is, but it has a certain degree of what, the THC. So, and what comes?
That's the other not THC. What is the one they sell at the?
CBD.
CBD.
Yeah,
Is that
cannabis is the legal and scientific term used to define marijuana.
Are we talking about CBD rather than cannabis?
CBD.
Okay.
CBD.
CBD is, I don't think, addressed by the law passed by the legislature. I believe it's only reference to cannabis, used for medical purposes, medical marijuana.
This is really, and I'm not asking to be sarcastic or anything, but it's really confusing to me. I read and I did some research when we put that on our agenda just to see.
Yeah.
And here it shows that it's basically the same things. I mean, it comes in the same forms. The gummy bears, the oils, the topical products, the beverages, and those kinds of things. It was really hard to, and I'm asking the attorney because you're having it in that location, but here again, we have a dispensary here in Natchez that's not in that location. And I know that she sells the CBD, okay? I know she sells that, but I think we need to educate ourselves more on it. I'm not refusing the location, but I do think we as a mayor and board of aldermen, and we need that information given to us. We need to have true discussion on it. I'm not against what you're saying. I'm saying that I think we need more education on it.
I would encourage everyone to read the bill.
I have, House Bill
and
2095.
I also would encourage everyone to do your
Senate Bill
research.
2095, I have read it.
We can't do the research for you. It's up to each one of you as a voting member of this board to do your own research. But a motion has been made and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion further on that motion?
Call for the question.
Second.
The question has been called. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Nay.
We'll take this as a roll call vote. Alderwoman Hall.
Aye.
Alderman Frazier.
Nay.
Alderwoman Smith.
Aye.
Alderwoman Irving.
Nay.
Alderman Davis.
Aye.
Alderman Dillard.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you. Mr. Attorney, is that the conclusion of your report?
It is, Mr. Mayor. I do have one matter. Mr. Slover's defending the city. We need to bring up in executive session.
All right, thank you, thank you. We'll get now to my report, and I will make this very brief. But I do have for you an aerial view of Silver Street, and this is just to answer any questions that may still be lingering because we've had a lot of discussion about it, and we've had a lot of back and forth and meetings under the hill over the past year. Oh my goodness, over the last just couple months, I've learned more about Silver Street and about the river levels than ever. And I'm just pleased to report that, that the plan is done, it's ready to be bid. I just want to make you aware of some things. We had been hopeful when we began this project that the level of Silver Street would be at or above the historic flood level of 2011. That is when the river almost reached 62 feet. If you go down under the hill and you really look at it, you will see that there is a post just beyond the Magnolia Grill building where levels have been marked. And in fact, it has been found the 2011 flood at 62 feet would have flooded Magnolia Grill had it not been for large sand baskets that were deployed, as you'll remember, in Silver Street. They originally were deployed on the sidewalk, but it was found that the sidewalk was not strong enough to hold them, so they had to put them into the street. Well, aside from that event, Silver Street, as we know, and going back in all of the flood records available through the Army Corps of Engineers, was never affected to that extent. In fact, we have seen that all other flood levels have been under 57.7 to 58 feet river stage. So what our plan does is it actually protects Silver Street going forward from any historic flood level that has occurred any time in the past, except for 2011. You cannot raise Silver Street to 62 feet without making it then uphill from Magnolia Grill. And that would create flooding conditions in every rain event from now on for Magnolia Grill in that building. And so what has been added by the engineers as a great solution so that we can still protect Silver Street even in the event of a 2011 flood is that the sidewalk, which will be a 5-foot wide sidewalk, will be reinforced with steel. That will allow, if we ever have a 2011 flood again, that will allow us to deploy the city and county crews working together to deploy those sandbags on the sidewalk and allow Silver Street to remain open. And so, and to allow passage of traffic as normal and to allow the lanes that are set aside for future buses to be used as normal. And so I'm just very happy to report that we do have a plan that protects Silver Street in any flood event that we can imagine. Of course, the river being the river, let's hope that nothing happens in the future that today is unimaginable. But the good news is that the design that has been approved does protect Silver Street from every possible flood that going back in history, with the exception of the 2011 event. But it also allows for that reinforced sidewalk that can hold the baskets in the event that we do have, that type of flood again.
Mr. Mayor,
I wanted to just make sure everyone was fully aware of where we are in the process.
I'd just like to thank the Big Lane family because they've been in communication with this the entire step, and they approve of this as well.
They have been great.
We're very grateful to them.
They own that building that we're talking about, and any idea of getting Silver Street to a level that would create problems with that building, definitely we could not allow. And there was some confusion over just where those levels were, and we are so grateful that the Big Lane family over the years has kept those marks, and you can actually see where the river levels are according to that pole. I would like for our public works to go and repaint those marks because they're faded, and it would be good for people to be able to see. It would be good to have it also for tourism, so people could actually see where these flood levels have been over the years. But I will say this, the the engineering firm originally was planning a sidewalk without the steel reinforcement, and adding the steel reinforcement, it will increase the cost. But I think you would agree that that steel reinforcement for the sidewalk is a needed component, because what good is it to go to all this trouble, have another 2011 happen, and then we're right back where we were back then. And so with this report being given, I would like to ask for a motion just to express support of the board for this this latest explanation of design, so that there's not any confusion going forward.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall.
Second.
Seconded by Alderwoman Smith. And the real change, the only change being that we're adding steel reinforcement to the sidewalk so that it can carry the weight. The engineers intended just originally, we'll just put the sand baskets in the street like we did in 2011. But the whole purpose of this is to keep the street open. So the motion has been made and seconded. I'll just call for the question.
Called.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. We are bidding. I do want to prepare you. Our engineers have told us that prices obviously everywhere have been going up. It's affecting projects all over the country, all over the world. We will see what the final bids come to. We also had hoped to break ground on this in May. We, at the advice of the engineers, are pushing that forward because river levels have been very high, and it's not advisable to start this project until river levels come back down to a certain level, and we're waiting to see what the engineers say about that. Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
Engineer, local engineer?
We're using Volkert Engineering, and they are a firm well versed in these projects, and we have been working with them from day one.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes,
And I
Alderwoman
do know our
Smith.
local one didn't do that work. He expressed that.
That's right. Our local does not do this kind of work, and Volkert has worked with Army Corps of Engineers project for a number of years. They work very closely with Viking, American Cruise Lines, and everyone, including the Big Lane family and the 2 cruise lines, has been involved in this design process. Alderwoman Smith.
Matt, and make a request. It's very quick and not to have to do with that, but I'd like, because it's on my mind, and the city clerk and I talked about it a little bit, have us take a look at the casino lease fund and our budget to think about street repaving. We've got to get on that.
Yes, yes. Okay. Let's make a note on that for us to make some recommendations with regard to street repaving. Also, I want to just say this for the record, when we're talking about Silver Street, it's a very good thing that we are blessed with ARP funds. This is an unprecedented thing in this country that the government would make available to municipalities. In this case, the city of Natchez, a little over 3.3 million in ARP funds. And it's for reasons like this, because the pandemic is having, and it is taking a toll. And we very soon will be looking very closely at how those ARP funds are to be budgeted. Yes.
Mr. Mayor, we've taken a vote. We can't-
I'm sorry, Alderwoman Irving and then Alderwoman Hall.
Okay, so I just want to ask, and it's piggybacking on what Alderwoman Smith just stated, are we looking at for paving for this year's Alderwoman Smith? Because if we are, Mr. Dollar and I kind of had a conversation about it, we need to be order materials. I mean, because this is April.
I know. I'm assuming it would be in the fall, rainy season now. We typically do it.
He said it normally do it in summer months. And that's
Okay,
what
well,
was
I
asking.
don't care when we do it, just
Okay.
whatever he thinks and
Okay.
when we need to order, but we need to look
Okay,
at it
so
right
we need
away.
to get a committee.
Yeah, as soon as we do
set
it,
up.
better.
Okay, Alderwoman Hall.
I was just gonna reiterate, we've taken a vote on Silver Street.
Yeah.
So the discussion has, we can't continue to discuss.
This is my report.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
And I'm just continuing to discuss certain items.
Okay.
Yes. The update on dilapidated properties. I have a list for you, and I'm going to pass this out. And we are already working this list, but we are going to be bringing a list to you at a later date. We actually will be starting the adjudication process, and yours are supposed to be on there.
It's all right. I'll,
Are they not?
let's see if
You
I
left
see.
out 3 and 6, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, this is why we're giving this out.
Yeah. that's
I
good.
would like, and we aren't going to take the time to discuss
Yeah,
it now.
I'll send them.
What I'd like for you to do is to go over this list. If there's anything that has not been included, please get it to my office no later than tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay? This is the list we have as of now. And if there's anything you are wishing to include that's not on the list, please make sure it's in my office
One thing I need to
tomorrow.
know is just make sure these houses are on the list to be joined.
Yeah.
I don't want to just go on nobody and check somebody out.
Yes.
Because I had one young man call me about the house and he was complaining about it. But come to find out, the house that he was discussing wasn't on the list.
Mhm.
It was something,
Okay.
dealing with something else.
All right, thank you. The next item that I want to bring up, I have some miscellaneous updates, and this is, I'm sorry, Alderwoman Irving.
I just want to say that I should have 7 houses instead of 5.
As I said, if there are any that are missing,
Okay.
add them to the list, make sure we have them. However, it was 5 per alderman, but I know that some aldermen are saying, hey, take this, because there may be more in your ward than there are in my ward.
And that's what
understood.
Alderman Davis did.
Okay, just make sure they're on the list.
Okay, I have to make sure. I have one that's in somebody else's voice, so I just take it.
Okay, I want to say also for clarification, just so everyone knows, as you know, the city about a month ago did sell the general hospital building. That brought in $105,000. That $105,000 is being used to fund a campaign now to remove dilapidated properties from the city. And that is why we're going through this process. We are going to make sure we follow the protocol, and we are in touch with all the property owners, but we're letting them know that their property has reached a state of disrepair where it is now being considered for demolition by the city. Now that that has been discussed, miscellaneous updates, I have something very important that I would like for us to go ahead and take care of. And that is an application from the city. And I don't know that you have this. I'm going to give it to you. It's a very straightforward, and I think you will find this to be a very, very good thing. And I'm passing this on down. Ms. McKenzie, any copies you need, just let me know. Mr. Callaway, we met with Carter Burns on Friday, and Mr. Burns with the Historic Natchez Foundation has been working very hard on some things that we have requested him to do, and that is to help us to put the youth center at North Natchez Park on the list of state historic landmarks for the state of Mississippi. And this is something that was initiated by Alderwoman Hall. And Alderwoman Hall, I remember when we were discussing the youth center, you said it should by all means be preserved because of its history. And Alderwoman Hall, if you'd like to just.
No, Mr. Mayor, let me get that.
I'm sorry. This is my report, Alderman Frazier. Alderwoman Hall is the one who initiated this process. Alderwoman Hall, if you would share the reason you did.
Yes, sir. When we were first discussing our recreation renewal and restoring both the golf clubhouse, which is legally known as the Naval Reserve, and then the youth center. The youth center is where blacks could go for recreation when we couldn't go anywhere else in the park, and in the city during periods of segregation. So by no means should this building be destroyed. And that was my purpose in saying we should renovate it, restore it to its original character for perpetuity, and why we should make it a landmark, as well as the golf clubhouse.
And Alderwoman Hall, as a former member of the State Board of Archives and History, I can say that you got this in motion, and we're very grateful for your work. And a resolution has now been prepared that will request that the Mississippi Department of Archives and History give Mississippi Landmark designation to the North Natchez Park Youth Center. And so at this time, I would like to entertain a motion to allow the application for the historic status for the youth center to go forward.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion on the motion.
Yes,
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
yes, Mr. Mayor, I would just simply like to say, this is unprecedented, and I think it's very honorable, and it's something that is much needed in the Black community too. And it's just letting us know that we're moving forward and recognizing certain things that took place in our communities. And I just want to thank Ms. Hall and the rest of the board for doing this, putting this on the historical site. And to be honest with you, I think once we did that, this is also be a big draw for tourism and stuff, once we get this building and everything up. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Frazier. It'll also be a source for possible grants.
Yes.
Yes. Alderwoman Irving, you had a comment?
I did. I just wanted to say this is a great idea as well. But I just wanted to ask, would that come with a marker to be identified?
Mhm.
It
Yes.
will? Okay.
Yes, the city will have to purchase the marker, but it will be qualified for a marker. I will call for the question.
Called. Second.
Question has been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. While we were meeting, Mr. Burns on Friday asked that we also consider a resolution. And this is again something that Alderwoman Hall initiated, and that is to make the Natchez Naval Reserve Armory a Mississippi landmark, which would allow for potential grant funds in the future. And that is now the site of our golf clubhouse at Duncan Park. But it originally began use as the Natchez Naval Reserve Armory. It also at one time was the site of the USM Natchez campus, other entities. It has a lot of history. I would like to entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Any discussion on the motion? We'll call for the question.
Called.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. The next item, Mr. Carter in our meeting said, while we are doing this, the Historic Natchez Foundation would like for the Auburn Barn Carriage House to also be made a Mississippi landmark. For some reason, in prior applications, it was omitted, yet it is a historic structure there on the grounds of Duncan Park. So we need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion on the motion? Yes.
No.
Mr.
Yes,
Mayor?
Alderwoman Irving.
Well, I just was gonna ask, this is two different locations or one?
It's one. It's one
Auburn Barn
location.
Carriage
It's currently
House.
used for equipment and it's near the tennis courts.
Okay.
It's that building that is in very poor condition and the Historic Natchez Foundation would like to see it preserved. Yes.
And no problem with it. I just was confused with the
Right,
carriage house up
right.
here. That's why I was asking whether that one.
So
Call for the question.
the question's been called. All in favor then of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Last item, on this particular topic, Mr. Burns also reported to me that the Friends of the Natchez City Cemetery have requested landmark status for the shelter house, cistern houses, barn, and streetcar waiting station at the Natchez City Cemetery.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Smith.
Second.
Seconded by Alderwoman Irving. We'll have discussion on the motion.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderwoman
The
Hall.
the city cemetery is, I think, on the National Register.
Yes.
of historic places. So this makes perfect sense to make these buildings landmarks.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, further discussion? We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. While we are on that topic, I do want to mention to you, I initiated a conversation with Mr. Burns on Friday with regard to the condition of the Watkins Street Cemetery. It is a historic cemetery. Major historic events have taken place at that cemetery, including a very somber burial of significant number of victims from the Rhythm nightclub fire back in the day. And we are not able to maintain that cemetery because it is considered private property. We have made in the past very generous donations to the nonprofit for its upkeep, but it is reaching a point where we've got to find a more permanent solution for its upkeep, and it could be a very important addition. It's already a historic site, in my opinion, and could be a great addition to our offerings for historic tourism in our community. And so I just want to give that report, and we're waiting on further input and feedback through this Natchez Foundation. I've asked for their help. Alderman Frazier, yes.
Mr. Mayor, I appreciate what he's saying about the Watkins Street Cemetery. It is in deplorable condition, and it's still an old cemetery, and whatever that can be done to save is going to be welcome. It also, you want to know, it also is a tourist attraction because, as a matter of fact, some people are doing tours or driving tour buses to show exactly where that mass grave is at in the Watkins Street Cemetery, dealing with the Rhythm nightclub fire. And I would say that it is becoming to everyone in this community that we say that cemetery, and I'll be more frank about it. The peoples in this community, I'm gonna say this name, the black people in this community. It is left up to us to make sure that cemetery is taken care of. We have a lot of people who's buried over there, kin loved ones buried over that don't come over and maintain those graves. Miss Dorothy is doing an excellent job of trying to keep that cemetery up. But I appreciate what the city gonna do and this community gonna do. But we as black folks, we need to step forward and take care of our own cemetery. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Now, like I said, I don't care who don't like it, but I'm just putting it out there.
Thank you, Alderman Frazier. Thank you. I want to give this report. You probably may have tuned in. We've had a number of conversations about the bridge lighting. And I am happy to report that the state legislature did appropriate $500,000 for the purpose of helping relight the river bridges here between Natchez and Vidalia on the Mississippi River. We are very grateful to everyone in our delegation and leadership in Jackson for helping make this happen. And with, in particular, Senator Kelvin Butler, who worked very hard in the Senate, and Representative Robert Johnson, who worked very hard in the House on this project. We are expecting other funds in the future. We need $6 million. $500,000 is a first step. We are also expecting that we will have a coordinated effort between our Congressman Michael Guest and the Congresswoman Ms. Julia Letlow, who represents Vidalia, in requesting federal assistance for the project. And then Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser continues to work on our behalf in the state of Louisiana. So I do want to be realistic. It takes a while to get federal funding. It takes a while to get all this funding. The project may not occur until the latter part of 2023. Some people are asking why we didn't aggressively go after the money from the legislature in the session earlier. And the reason is we were holding back because we wanted to make sure that we got the federal funding for Morgantown Road. And once we knew that we had gotten the 2.4 million from Morgantown Road, and that then allowed us to then approach our legislators. And we are very grateful for their response. And as I said, again, the leadership in Jackson in helping us now to get this $500,000. What we are anticipating, it is a $6 million project. And we have researched it so much, looked through so many proposals, and this is in line with what bridge lighting of this magnitude cost. The company Lumen Pulse has done major bridge projects all across America and North America. They've done a lot of projects, including in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and they also assisted us with the relighting of the Proud to Take a Stand monument recently. Included in the design is LED, color, movement, and also the placement of speakers along the riverfront of Natchez and Vidalia, so that every evening after sunset, tourists and locals can enjoy a light show on the bridge set to music. It will be a new tourism attraction, and it will be our version of the Bellagio experience that many people would recognize in Vegas. So we're working, we're not giving up. Another thing that we're not giving up on is the EOLA. We've had a number of meetings lately. I think it has been revealed in a paper that made the front page of the Natchez Democrat this weekend that the original budget came in significantly higher once the construction estimate was done in December by Roy Anderson Corp. That has resulted in a amended plan. I'm expecting that the developers will include now more rooms so that they can have more revenue to offset the increased costs of the development. They also, I believe, are bringing in more capital investment by way of partners, and we're waiting to see what the final result will be. We have been assured it will happen. We are very grateful to Randy Roth, who is still the lead developer on the project, and also to Dickie Brennan, who continues to be very committed to making sure that his amazing abilities will eventually have a presence here in Natchez. So I will say part of the discussion recently has been that the garage project, while it is very important to servicing the EOLA, it's also important to the convention center, downtown merchants, and that it may actually be separated and be a separate development project. And we are talking to individuals and also the developers of the EOLA, getting their advice on that. The environmental assessment has been completed on the Fry building, and we now can begin the process toward planning that garage. And I will tell you, if you look at our city and its economic growth, that garage is needed. And there are some great new ideas that are being incorporated possibly into the design of that garage, in addition to the street level retail that was already a part of the plan. So we're working. I don't want people to think we aren't. I'm excited about the progress made today on the depot project. Everyone just needs to be grateful. We will, in time, have the finest restaurant on the Mississippi River right here in Natchez. It will happen. I want to invite everyone. We have received an invitation from from Reverend Bo Swilly on behalf of the Natchez Ministerial Alliance to be in participation on the National Day of Prayer, May 5th, Thursday, May 5th at 12 noon at the bandstand on the bluff. And we look forward to participating in this year's National Day of Prayer. Also,
What time?
it will be at 12 noon. Also, Aldermen, Alderwomen, you should have received thank yous from Spay Neuter Natchez and also from other animal advocates thanking us for the new animal ordinance. It is a real improvement. It is a tremendous step forward. And I want to thank Cal Green, and I want to thank Nash Sanders, our police chief, for taking this seriously. And I also want to say this, and I want to say this as an appeal to the public. It is now illegal to tether a dog in Natchez. And anyone who sees a dog tethered in an inhumane way, we're asking that you report that to our police department so that we may enforce the ordinance. Tethering in our area is considered inhumane, and we are soon going to be in the summer months, and we don't want to find any tethering in this city. We are against it, and the ordinance has outlawed it. I just want everyone to understand that. We also will not tolerate the abuse of animals by allowing them to live in unsanitary conditions and allowing them to live 10, 15, or 20 in a home or small yard. That is inhumane. It is now illegal. And any instances of that kind of animal abuse or cruelty, we want it reported. I also want to say this. It is illegal to sell puppies on the side of the road in Natchez. It is only allowed if you are a licensed breeder and you are selling dogs in an authorized and licensed capacity. And anyone who is just out there selling a dog on the street, be aware you're breaking the ordinance. We will enforce it. The ordinance also has provisions, spay and neuter your pets. It is now part of the city law unless you have a special permit. And obviously, we remember the legacy of our Senator Bob Deering, who was a champion of animal rights in Jackson. And we have received great feedback from members of our community that we are holding true to the legacy of Senator Deering in making sure we take care of these animals who are dependent upon us for their safe care. I just wanted to make sure we made that point. Chief Daughtry, I don't know if he's still around. Chief Daughtry, we had a really great event on Friday, and I just want to have a shout out for Alcorn and what Alcorn's doing and the support that they've asked for from Natchez.
Oh, yes. On Friday, we had a All Access Braves where they had a fundraiser for Coach Fred McNair's football program. The mayor and I were in attendance, and what was so surprising is, that's it? Huh? Oh, I'm sorry, Alderman Davis. Yeah, that's right. You were there. I forgot you were there. But what was so funny was everybody was talking about Natchez. They want to come to Natchez. So I just wanted to let the board know how pleased they were.
We need order while the chief is presenting. Yes, Chief.
I just wanted everybody on the board to know. I know Alderman Davis talked to a lot of people. I talked to a lot of people. They were so pleased with Natchez. And I think a lot of them didn't realize, I don't know how they didn't, but everybody's always gone to Vicksburg, but now the eye is on Natchez. And they want to start doing some events, some pregame events here in Natchez. So they were just really pleased with the hotel stays, the restaurants, the foot traffic downtown. And they were just bragging about it. So we just wanted to let the board know that we are probably going to have more events from All Access Braves for the city of Natchez.
Thank you, Chief. We're so grateful for our relationship with Alcorn, and other great things are in the works with the city of Natchez working with Alcorn. I also have a final shout out, and that is to the organizers of the Stop the Violence event I had the pleasure of attending on Friday night at the community center. And this is an event that is celebrating And the theme of Friday night was Black Love, and that was sharing love in the African American community, and especially love for children in the African American community, so that hate goes away and love takes its place. And a real important theme of the evening was that to stop the violence, we must stop the hate. And it's important that we as adults model love and not hate, because our children are watching us. This is why I find any behavior that tries to divide people so repulsive. This is a time where we should not be trying to put people in various camps based on black, white, Republican, Democrat, whether you're from here or there, whether you think this or that, whether you believe this or that. We're in America. We're all entitled to our beliefs, but we are also in America entitled to have compassion for one another. And I truly believe in the great commandment that we are to love God with all our heart and to love our neighbor as ourselves.
One Natchez.
And I believe, and that was spoken Friday night, one Natchez, and also the immortal words of Dr. King, who said he found hate too great a burden to bear, that he chose love. And so my takeaway from the event Friday night, and what I want to share in my closing remarks and my report today, is that to stop the violence, we must stop the hate. And if anyone in our community truly wants to make an impact on our youth, model love, model forgiveness, model compassion, model the ability to listen to another person, and to always admit that we all don't have it right, but together we can all find that right place. With that said, we come now to the end of our meeting. I do have, I understand, two requests, one from the city attorney to discuss a litigation matter and to allow an audience with Scott Slover, who is defending the city in that matter, and also a presentation that the city clerk wishes to make that is a personnel matter in nature. So that would be our open determination. At this time, I would entertain a motion for us to go into executive session for those reasons described. The motion has been made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderman Davis. We'll move into a discussion. We'll now proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Alderwoman Irving,
I just want
we're
to,
about to leave, but you have, we're going to go into executive session now, but you have a comment?
I just want to add to what you were saying, Mary. You may want to make that announcement about Congressman Benny Thompson will be here next week at Alcorn,
Yes.
along with Dave Deering at the Women's Business Center.
That's a
You
very
want
good
to
announcement.
share that information? The time is from 2 to 4
It
at
is from
Alcorn.
2 to 4 next Thursday, a week from this Thursday, and I believe,
It's
this Thursday.
It's
It's this Thursday,
Uh-huh.
and it is celebrating the opening,
Grand opening of
the grand opening of the Women's Business Center at Alcorn. And it'll be at the Alcorn campus, and we are very proud to have Congressman Benny Thompson coming to our city. Thank you. back from our executive session. Are we good to go? Dustin, okay, I'm going to go ahead and have a seat. I will now entertain a motion to end our executive session and go back into regular session.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall. Second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Frazier. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We are now back in regular session, and this is our report. We discussed two matters. We discussed a matter pertaining to litigation involving the city. We met with Scott Slover, who is defending the city in this matter, and we had general discussion, and no official action is required or took place. With regard to the request of the city clerk to look at some information regarding personnel matters, we did. We took that under advisement. No action was taken, and that comprises the report of our executive session. At this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Irving. Any opposed to the motion? Hearing none, we stand adjourned. Thank you so much. I gotta get to my 3